Chapter 382. The cauldron was not used to refine pills, but to refine blood. After checking the corpse, Gu Tianguai obediently gave the expert's empty pouch to Su Fong. The expert was not from a large faction and should be a loose cultivator. Unfortunately, he was not Gu Tianguai's match in this extraterritorial land. The cauldron and corpse were left to Gu Tianguai. The cave was very spacious, and it was obvious that Gu Tianguai had been cultivating here for many years. Master. After a while, Gao Tianguai came out a secret door through a barrier and took out a 3-foot-wide, oval-shaped stone that looked like a bloodstone. It was not an exaggeration to call it stone. Such a stone could actually help a monster cultivate. Su Fong took the stone and felt that it weighed a few hundred kilograms. He could feel that there was something special about it. It had a demonic aura and a power that had fused with spirit qi. Exalted Master Yuezhan also appeared and examined it carefully, but he could not find anything special about it. The heavens were boundless, and the earth was vast with abundant resources. There were many secrets that humans were unable to learn. This place is not bad. Everyone have a good rest. He called out the other commanders in the profound yellow space. The Black Fiend King and Gu Tianguai did not know that Su Fong had so many big goblin. They were shocked and only recovered after a long time. Su Fong began to study the stone. There was a layer of white jade in the blood-red color. A layer of white jade and a layer of blood-red merged together perfectly. He injected a strand of pure yang energy into the stone. He could feel demonic aura and natural spirit qi seeping out from it, especially the pure yang energy. There was a familiar aura that could easily fuse with the stone. This is the essence qi of the black stone that fused with the Xinjiang gate. He immediately found out what the aura was. When he entered the stone, he found that there was a very thick blood aura inside. It was a powerful life blood aura, and it should have come from a certain big goblin. In other words, it was very likely that it was a certain big goblin that had dripped its blood on this stone. After a long time, the blood aura of the big goblin had fused with the stone. The blood aura of the big goblin had the ability to activate demonic aura and condense spirit qi. Naturally, this strange stone would be able to assist any great demon in their cultivation. Not far off, Big Sis, this stone is a good thing. Not only can it help you with your cultivation, but it also contains a powerful blood qi that I don't know where it came from. It can help you condense true energy and life energy. It's a good treasure. He directly gave the stone to Bai Ling. Of course, Bai Ling was happy to accept it. However, Gao Tianguai, who was not far away, felt his heart bleed. In such a short time, the treasures in the abode had all become someone else's. Exalted Person Yuezhan was also cultivating at the side. With the resources from Su Fong, everyone was constantly improving their strength. Master. A few days later, Gao Tianguai came to Su Fong. Su Fong showed an imposing manner. The Demon Island is nearby. Not only is it vast, but there are also countless big goblins. I will suppress all the big goblin. What else do you know about the 7-star Demon Island? The 7-star Demon Island is located at the edge of the depths of the Wutan realm. It is surrounded by vast waters, far away from the human world. There are very few human cultivators here. In addition to the terrible storm, the center of the 7-star Demon Island is also a forbidden area. The 7-star Demon Island is divided into 7 islands, which are shaped like the Big Dipper. In the middle of the 7 islands is a body of water. There is also a small island in the body of water. It looks ordinary, but it is a forbidden area. No cultivator or big goblin can get close to it. Apart from these, I can't think of anything else. There are many great demons on the 7 islands, but they rarely interact with each other. Each of them has their own territory, and each of them has their own power. The demon race is like this. They don't like to group up like humans. Each of them occupies an area and proclaims themselves as the overlords of the islands. They capture humans who come here to gain experience. Gao Tianguai spat out everything he knew. It seems that the extraterritorial land of the 7 Stars Demon Island does indeed have some amazing secrets. Previously, I wanted to suppress all the big goblin on the 7-star demon island, but I didn't expect this place to be so dangerous. It is better to suppress the movements as much as possible and suppress the monsters on this island. He looked at Gao Tianguai again. What about the situation on the nearby islands? The island is very large. It is composed of many mountains, forests, and valleys. There are also some lakes inside. It is rarely visited by humans. Many places have natural spiritual creatures that are occupied by big goblin. The demon island is a blessed land with abundant spiritual qi. Is that so? Blessed land? Su Fong was even more curious. He left the cave with Gao Tianguai and went to the mountain peak to look at the demon island. Next, you will help me suppress all the big goblin on this island. The method is very simple. You will offend them one by one and cause a ruckus in their territory. Then they will take the initiative to come here. Master. At this time, Exalted Master Yuezhan also came over. There are too many big goblins. I am an imperishable realm expert, so it is difficult for me to deal with so many big goblins. You and I have to work together. You will set up a formation on this island while I hide inside. Gao Tianguai will lure the big goblin into the formation. I will suppress them one by one. If something unexpected happens, you will take action. I believe that there is no big goblin on the 7-star demon island that can be your opponent. This subordinate will set up the formation to hide the big goblin. Once they enter the formation, they will fall into this subordinate's control. This subordinate will do his best to help Master suppress the big goblin. Exalted Master Yuezhan patted his chest without saying anything else. In an instant, the 3 experts began to move. Gao Tianguai flew towards the island. In the forest on the island outside, the Immortal's Cave, layers of magical seal light descended on the forest. Some of the surrounding clouds also mysteriously condensed. As expected of a Calamity Realm expert who had cultivated for 10,000 years, his strength was about the same as Li Ziqing's, and his control over space was astonishing. He quickly condensed a perfect barrier in the forest. He had completely reached the Calamity Realm. Even if Gao Tianguai flew into the formation, he wouldn't be able to escape from Li Ziqing's palm. Adding on Su Fong's primordial chaos sage realm, no big goblin would be able to escape. The mysterious woman wants me to absorb the power of the stars. Once the formation was complete, Su Fong and Exalted Master Yuezhan both hid inside the formation. With Exalted Master Yuezhan present, suppressing the big goblin wasn't a problem. He was thinking about cultivation. Although he had to suppress countless commanders, his own strength had also increased. Not only did he have to break through to the imperishable realm, he also had no worries. At almost the same time, he cultivated the 9 transformations in the Heavenly Demon Book, as well as comprehending the immortal sealing sex divine abilities. Looking at the sky, Su Fong thought of what the mysterious woman had said about cultivating the power of the stars. But he didn't understand what that was, so he asked Exalted Master Yuezhan. The power of the stars should be the power of the outer realms. The power of the outer heavens should be the power of nature that we often cultivate. For example, we're currently in the Wu-Tan world, and we're absorbing the power of the Wu-Tan world. Outside the Wu-Tan world should be the power of the outer heavens, commonly known as the higher level power. This subordinate is unable to specifically explain what the power of the stars is. The world is too vast. In short, Master can first try entering the depths of the Wu-Tan world's boundless sky and then absorbing the highest aura, said Exalted Master Yuezhan. It turned out that even Old Antique didn't know what the power of the stars was. Since that was the case, Su Fong could only release the power of the Great Perfection Realm. When he reached the limit, he could indeed sense a heavy aura. He immediately began to control it and absorb it. At that moment, the scorching light of the 3 suns also shone down on the island. When his skin felt the aura of the sun, the pure yang power in his body instantly became more active. It was the same as when he cultivated in front of the sun in the celestial sealing sect. In the past, he had been an insignificant cultivator, so absorbing the aura of the sun would benefit him greatly. But now that he was in the imperishable realm, he needed 10,000 times more power than before. Therefore, when he absorbed the aura of the sun, he couldn't bring out the obvious pure yang aura like before. But when he cultivated under the aura of the sun, he could still cultivate the 9 yang, 9 transformations like a fish in water. This was a power that couldn't be obtained by cultivating in nature or any magic treasure. Perhaps the mysterious woman wanted Su Fong to absorb the power of nature to cultivate. Soon, the power from the depths of the sky was also absorbed by Su Fong. It was indeed much more advanced than the natural aura of the earth. It wasn't easy to control, but under the power of the 9 suns, it was still integrated. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. About 2 hours later, suddenly, there were 2 sounds of wind rushing over under the power of the great perfection realm. In front of him was the great heavenly monster, and behind him was a powerful big goblin. It was slightly weaker than the great heavenly monster, but not by much. If they wanted to determine the victor, they would have to fight for several days. It's coming. While cultivating, Su Fong summoned the primordial chaos sacred. You bear demon, how dare you kill the experts under this king's command? The demon's voice swept over. The great heavenly monster rushed into the array, seeming to be in a hurry. The latter was a middle-aged man in a red robe. He had a strong back and a strong waist. He danced and directly charged into the array, completely ignoring the seemingly ordinary array. Whoosh! As soon as the big goblin charged into the array, what awaited him was a red light sweeping toward him. It was like any big goblin that didn't fear the red light at all before it was suppressed. Only when it fell into the red light did it know how terrifying it was. This demon is very strong. I'll lure the more powerful big goblin first. When I suppress these big goblins, those small demons will be nothing. The great heavenly monster flew out of the array happily. Ah! The demon screamed in the red light. Soon, the human figure disappeared. It was a big goblin that looked like a wolf and a dog. It was very ferocious. However, under the red light, it became an ordinary animal. When will I have a chance to go to the Xinjia Gate again and suppress that ape dog? He can be my great commander. There's also the old toad in the Tiangor domain. There are also countless big goblins in the Tiangor domain. Seeing the big goblin, Su Fong thought of the ape dog. He suddenly realized that there were many places in the Zhuotian domain where all kinds of big goblin lived. Right, the Tiangor domain. My left hand now has the ability to absorb wood elemental treasures. I have to make a trip to the Tiangor domain and see if my left arm can absorb the power of the Tiangor spirit tree. That's a huge monster, the ancient spirit tree. If I can absorb its power, a thought that even Su Fong himself found inconceivable appeared in his mind. Whoosh, whoosh. After a while, 2 more wind-breaking sounds flew over. Su Fong sucked the demon into the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. He did not expect the second big goblin to enter the array with the great heavenly monster after a few breaths. In the end, before it could show off, it was imprisoned by the red light that suddenly appeared. The 14th small commander, as long as it was covered by the primordial chaos saint, no big goblin could escape. Because of the great heavenly monster's hard work and the secret help of the exalted Master Yuezhan, he used to think that suppressing the big goblin would be a difficult task. But now, he did not expect it to be so easy. If the Green Feather King was still here, he would also be shocked. Although the exalted Master Yuezhan was hiding in the dark, every time he suppressed a big goblin, he would tremble deeply. He had never seen such a scene. The big goblin also became a weakling. Soon, Su Fong suppressed many big goblins. Now, there were a total of 25 small commanders. Chapter 383. Suppressing the big goblin was a piece of cake for Su Fong. However, Gao Tianguang was exhausted. He had no choice but to let it rest for a while before continuing to attract the big goblin. Do you know about the Tianhu domain? With a break, Su Fong, who was cultivating, released his thoughts to communicate with Guru Yuzhan. Superior Yuzhan said, "This subordinate has gone to that place no less than dozens of times. The heavenly gourd earth realm is the Zhuo Tian realm, a feng shui treasure land jointly owned by the righteous sections. In 1,000 years, spirit gourds would appear from time to time, and a large number of cultivators would also obtain the earth realm's spirit water, as well as various spirit treasures. What does Master want to know? Now that I can use wood-type treasures, I plan to go to the Heaven Gourd world and absorb the Heaven Gourd spirit tree's energy to cultivate. This exalted Master Yuezhen was speechless. Master, the Heavenly Gourd spirit tree has existed for countless years, and no one can say for sure. In fact, there are quite a few cultivators who have the same idea as Master. Since ancient times, countless geniuses have thought of refining the Heavenly Gourd spirit tree and taking it for themselves. Back when I was in the Tribulation Realm, I had the same idea. I went to the Heaven Bottle Gourd to study it for a long time. Even the House of Immortal, Sealing wanted to take it for themselves. But no matter how they studied it, how they used divine abilities, or even magical items, they couldn't do anything to it. Some cultivators even went to the depths of the Heaven Bottle Gourd, only to find that the roots of the tree had long since merged with the core of the planet. Some cultivators even used their own blood to water the Heavenly Gourd spirit tree. In the end, not only did they fail to refine the Heavenly Gourd spirit tree, they were sucked dry by the Heavenly Gourd spirit tree until only their bones were left. Countless people tried, but in the end, no one tried again. That kind of Heavenly Gourd spirit tree is already beyond what humans can control. Then I won't refine it, but I should be able to absorb its energy, right? That's also a problem. Master, think about it. The mystical gourd spirit tree also has a soul and life. Compared to the mystical gourd spirit tree, you're like a cup of water, and the mystical gourd spirit tree is like a sea of fire. If you try to absorb it, will you be able to do anything to it? After saying this, exalted Master Yuezhen blushed with shame. He couldn't help but admire Su Feng's imagination. Perhaps this was the fearlessness of the young. The heavenly monster is out again. Xian Huang's space as will descended. Su Feng immediately used his peerless divine might to plant imprints on the small commanders one by one, completely controlling them. He then released them into the cave to cultivate and recover their strength. Little brother, this wondrous stone is incredible. Big sister's magic power has increased by several times, and my body has been cleansed time and time again by the wondrous stone's power. At this moment, inside the cave, Bai Ling, who was sitting cross-legged on a strange rock, sent a voice transmission to Su Feng in pleasant surprise. Su Feng smiled, his whole body relaxed. Sister Bai, cultivate well. We've already left the celestial sealing sect. No one can use you as a mount anymore. Furthermore, I'll think of a way to remove the heavenly neck spirit collar from your neck. Although the heavenly neck spirit ring is on Big Sister's neck, as long as you don't touch it, nothing will happen. It should be an ownerless item, so I'll just treat it as a decoration. That's what I'm worried about. No one can use it now, but what about the future? Sister Bai, don't worry. After dealing with Prince Shui, I'll make a trip to the Heavenly Dipper realm and see just how powerful that Li Xingqiu, or the Chaos King, is. The heavenly neck spirit collar was a knot in Su Feng's heart. He had to remove it. He couldn't allow Bai Ling to be constantly controlled by someone else. Soon, the heavenly monster returned. It attracted another big goblin. The process was the same. The monster thought that the heavenly monster wasn't a match for it, so it recklessly charged into the formation. From the looks of it, not only did it want to kill the heavenly monster, but it also wanted to seize its cave dwelling in that wondrous stone. The big goblin couldn't understand. What welcomed it wasn't the heavenly monster or a treasure, but a world of red light. It was instantly trapped in the red light. Stop struggling. Do you think this king isn't your match? The heavenly monster didn't seem to be very fast, but after asking for credit from Su Feng, it disappeared into thin air. Behave. Now that you're here, you can't be so arrogant. Su Feng flew over and grabbed with his 5 fingers. The pagoda shadow rumbled as it sucked the greater demon into the pagoda door. The 26th commander. Master, little yellow divine astral energy is actually very similar to the flesh fetus divine armor. This cultivation technique is very domineering. You can combine it with the flesh fetus divine armor. Su Fong began to cultivate the immortal sealing sex 7 divine abilities. He had already grasped a portion of the firmament sword Qi, the ruler divine steps, and the green fiendish true flame. Adding on Green Feather King's assistance in the past, he also had some understanding of the other divine abilities. Exalted Luna Yuezhen sent him a message about the heavenly monster astral energy. The heavenly monster astral energy was a defense-focused cultivation technique. Cultivating the heavenly monster astral energy would allow you to condense a defensive layer in your physical body. It was the key to cultivating the flesh fetus divine armor. Furthermore, the heavenly monster astral energy could also be combined with the firmament sword Qi. After all, the true energy of the heavenly monster astral energy was extremely domineering and could be used to unleash even greater power. After using it to fuse with the flesh fetus divine armor, the fleshly membranes within Yang Qi were filled with the heavenly monster astral energy. Every energy art, divine ability, and energy circulation method was different, but the heavenly monster astral energy was perfectly compatible with the flesh fetus divine armor. From the looks of it, the heavenly monster astral energy can actually hide the aura of the flesh fetus divine armor. After all, I cultivated the flesh fetus divine armor with the invincible golden body, which is derived from the gigantified heavenly king body. I don't want anyone to find out that I have a godly class energy art. With that, he finished speaking. The aura of the invincible golden body vanished from the flesh fetus divine armor, and the sealing mark faded away. In its place was the heavenly monster astral energy, which surged with ferocious energy. Furthermore, the heavenly monster astral energy had a unique characteristic, which was that its true energy was slightly yellow. Because of the special techniques used to cultivate true energy, its aura, color, and shape were all different. My lord, it's very easy for you to cultivate the Jade Heaven Frigid Profound art. Just like the Azure Fiend True Flame, you have the Supreme Yang and Supreme Yin energy inside of you, which are key to cultivating the ultimate power of hardness and softness. The frigid energy of the Jade Heaven Frigid Profound art is extremely shocking. With that, Exalted Transcendent left Su Fong to cultivate on his own. During the process, the heavenly monster astral energy continued to attract the attention of other big goblin. Of course, there were some big goblin who were smart enough to realize that the heavenly monster astral energy would be difficult to deal with, and thus would flee. During the process, Yang Qi suppressed a dozen or so big goblin. The suppressed big goblin also left a sealing mark in the Xianhuang spatial realm. Only when the Xianhuang spatial realm was completely controlled did he allow them to appear in the cave to consume various resources and elixirs to recover their vision. Inside the cave, the Black Demon King saw many big goblin, all of whom were familiar faces. Now, one of them was suppressed, and the rest of them ended up like this. 1 month later, crack, crack, crack. Su Fong's surroundings suddenly froze. White ice appeared out of nowhere and froze the space. With Su Fong as the center, a few dozen feet around him was covered in a thick layer of ice. Jade Heaven Frigid Profound art from the Xianhuang spatial realm. Yang Qi took out some sealed essence seeds. With the Jade Heaven Frigid Profound art and the heavenly monster astral energy as the core, Su Fong was currently cultivating these 2 mystical abilities. It just so happened that the sealed essence seeds could help Su Fong's cultivation. After cultivating the Jade Heaven Frigid Profound art, my meridians, which have integrated with the cold Qi, feel gloomy all the time. The cold Qi is still suitable for women to cultivate, but compared to the cold Qi from the ancient mirror, it's insignificant. I can't absorb the cold Qi directly, so I can only rely on the power of the 9 Yang to fuse it first. Until now, Su Fong had only grasped the power of the 9 Yang. As for the cold Qi, he was unable to grasp it. The mysterious woman used a great mystical ability from the other side of the ancient mirror to let the cold chi come out of the ancient mirror for Su Fong to absorb. She could only use the power of the pure yang to fuse it first, but Su Fong himself could not possess the cold chi unless he cultivated the 9 transformations. But what if he fused the Jade Heaven frigid profound art with the cold chi? While focusing on cultivation, Su Fong was in a state of limitless thought. When he cultivated a cultivation technique, he would immediately compare it with other cultivation techniques. He immediately activated the primordial chaos sacred realm, and a surge of extreme yin qi gushed out. Then he injected the genuine qi condensed from the jade sky cold mystic technique into it. Results: the extreme yin qi instantly swallowed up the cold qi of the jade sky cold mysterious technique. This meant that the jade sky cold mysterious technique was far inferior to the extreme yin qi. Helplessly, he could only give up. It seemed that he could only control the power of pure yang. More divine runes have appeared around my flesh membrane, dantian, and divine aperture. Now that I've cultivated more divine abilities, I can also fuse them with the flesh embryo divine armor. The primordial chaos sacred realm shook again and shackled a big goblin that had just barged into the array formation. He continued to suppress many big goblin. The big goblin was a headache for cultivators, but it was powerless in front of a primordial chaos saint. It was like an egg meeting a rock. Su Fong was the rock. The undying realm is truly harder to cultivate than the undying realm. I haven't even reached the peak of the first layer yet. After a period of cultivation, his cultivation did not increase, but he had grasped a few great divine abilities. He then focused on suppressing the thoughts of the junior commanders. After suppressing another big goblin, Gai Tianguai came to Su Fong and cried, "Master, I can't take it anymore. Those stronger big goblins are no longer fooled. Now, the entire island knows that I'm causing trouble everywhere. They all treat me as the king of hell. Then let's kill our way into the demon island." He made a prompt decision. Exalted Yuezhan flipped his hand, and the array formation was sucked into his palm. He and Gai Tianguai protected Su Fong together. When they arrived at the top of the cave, all the junior commanders flew out in an imposing manner. Bai Ling, on the other hand, seemed too weak to stand up to the wind. At this moment, there were already 64 junior commanders. 64 junior commanders. Obviously, compared to the 100,000 junior commanders, there's still a huge difference. However, they still needed to suppress them step by step. After all, Su Fong was not strong, and Xianwang's six-path pagoda had not fully recovered. The group of experts majestically passed through the clouds and entered the Demon Island at the same time. The Demon Island was indeed very big. There were several vast mountain ranges connected to each other, and each mountain range had many peaks. There were also many rivers, lakes, and forests that covered many valleys and canyons. What astonishing spirit chi! Master, this place is indeed an excellent place for cultivation. If it was built as a training ground, it would be amazing. However, it's too remote. We can only rely on teleportation doors and teleportation talismans to get in and out. This is the only inconvenient thing. Moreover, there are also unpredictable extraterrestrial forces. Exalted Yuezhan let out a long sigh. He released his sensing ability. There was demonic chi everywhere, but it was not strong. There were thousands of demons, but most of them only had the strength of undying. Su Fong did not want to use his primordial chaos sage realm to burn these demons and refine them into energy beads. He would let them slowly reproduce here. He could not allow every place to be controlled by humans. Bang! They flew over forest. Suddenly, a demon figure flew out in fright. Su Fong and the others were too powerful. Each of their auras was extremely terrifying. Moreover, the big goblin was frightened by Gai Tianguai and did not escape. Chapter 384. What a blessed land! What do you think if I set up a training ground here? Countless monsters were frightened by the aura of the group and fled in all directions. Su Fong suddenly looked at exalted cultivator Yuezhan and asked, Exalted Cultivator Yuezhan was startled. It is possible to set up a training ground here, but it is inconvenient to go in and out. It is possible to cultivate here all year round, but do you plan to cultivate here? Cultivation is one thing, but the main thing is to turn this place into a training ground for alchemy. I have a miraculous pill called Aphrodisiac Pill, and I'm also preparing to refine the life-seizing recreating pill. In the cultivation world, if you can master alchemy, you can establish yourself in any small world. So, there's a place for alchemy. That is not a problem at all. From here to the Kubu clan, you can go to any place in the Wutan world through a portal. Alchemy is not a problem, but to gather materials, you still have to go to Green Lotus Sword Sect, Spirit Immortal Sect, and other large factions. Since you also think it is not a problem, then it is decided. Actually, the most important thing is that if we set up a training ground here, we will not be disturbed by other factions. With my undying cultivation, I cannot support a faction, so I have to choose this remote place. At this moment, he spoke out his thoughts. Exalted Cultivator Yuezhan and many junior commanders were unhappy after hearing this. They immediately ordered Guy Tianguai to lead the junior commanders to chase away all the stronger monsters on the island. They released their sensing power and finally sensed mortal spirit energy in a canyon. The canyon was not bad. It was either surrounded by lakes or forests. There were also clouds in the sky. It was just right to set up a training ground here. Next, Exalted Cultivator Yuezhan personally set up the training ground. Calamity Realm powerhouses used their seals and divine abilities to quickly set up a group of palaces in the middle of the canyon, covered by a layer of sturdy barrier. Under the barrier, Su Fong landed in front of a large hall. He felt that the hall was not bad. It had a large status, and there were many spirit stones. Most importantly, there was a shocking amount of spirit energy surging out from the depths of the canyon. All of you come out. As Su Fong parted his hands, a magical door appeared, and a large number of slaves flew out from it. These servants were from the Wutan world, suppressing the enemies of the Li clan, such as the Pu clan, Bali clan, and Gu clan. There were more than 300 people, dozens of young nascent realm, and the rest were undying cultivators. They had long since learned the refining process of the yang, strengthening pill from the true devil blood plate, so they had a very clear grasp of each material. You can cultivate here for now. This is the 7-star demon island, but you don't need to panic. The demons here have all been suppressed by me. From now on, you will cultivate here, and then you'll refine pills. You don't need to worry about anything else. If you need any resources, just ask. I'll go gather all kinds of materials, so you can familiarize yourself with this place. After the order was issued, hundreds of people dispersed to different palaces. Su Fong and Exalted Master Yuezhan arrived at the central hall. Inside the palace, it's time to clean up the treasures. Exalted Cultivator Yuezhan, if you have a pill cauldron for refining pills, take it out first. He began to clear out the items, which was to look for the pill cauldron, as well as some alchemy materials such as spiritual herbs, spiritual fruits, and so on. Exalted Master Yuezhan did not say anything. He was a rich man, so why? After being trapped in the Xinjia Gate for thousands of years, he ruled the world and killed many people to collect many treasures. No cauldron. That was a lie, and it couldn't deceive Su Fong. During this time, Su Fong also cleared out a large amount of treasures, especially the catastrophe realm experts killed by Gao Tingguang. There were a few pill cauldrons in empty bags. They were all mid-grade items, and only one of them was high-grade. Apart from the pill cauldrons, there were more than 1,000 Dharma treasures. There were more than a dozen high-grade Dharma treasures. As for pills, spirit stones, and other treasures, there were also some, but they weren't very shocking. As a rogue cultivator, he didn't have as many resources as the big shots. He also unsealed the empty bags he collected from the Xinjia Gate. Some of the empty bags contained several other empty bags. It seemed they were collected after being trapped in the Xinjia Gate. Unfortunately, they only wanted to collect treasures, but in the end, they ended up like the owner who collected the empty bags, becoming part of the countless bones. Master, I have more than 20 pill cauldrons here. There are many spiritual herbs, and spiritual items, no less than 10 million. At this time, exalted cultivator Yuezhen held up a xianguang. In the xianguang, there were more than 20 pill cauldrons. They were different in size, but the color was similar. They floated together, which was quite spectacular. The spiritual herbs were like a mountain, and even the main hall couldn't hold it. Xianjia Gate really had countless treasures. The wealth in the hands of exalted cultivator Yuezhen was comparable to any second-rate force. Maybe there were still many treasures that he hadn't taken out. After searching for a while, Su Fang also took out more than 20 pill cauldrons. The quality wasn't high. All of them were mid-grade. There was only one high-grade pill cauldron. As for the various spiritual herbs, there were also as many as a mountain. Moreover, Su Fang had a lot of immortal fruits. He could add some immortal fruits to the aphrodisiac pill or life-seizing rebirth pill recipes. Maybe the effect would be better. He immediately called dozens of Yang Soul Realm experts to familiarize them with the pill cauldrons and pick the materials needed for the aphrodisiac pill from the countless spiritual items. Exalted cultivator Yuezhen also specially built a pill refining space. The shape was a pill cauldron that was 10 feet high, and it was sealed with a more powerful array. Dozens of slaves came to the space to select the materials and study the pill cauldrons. Soon, all the junior commanders also came back to ensure that there was no more powerful big goblin on the demon island. As for the small demons, there were still a lot of them left on the island. Su Fang sucked all the junior commanders into the Xianhuang space and let Xianhuang be responsible for their cultivation. He began to cultivate with the magic treasures and released his own power. Finally, it turned into majestic power and poured into Su Fang's body. The majestic power that his body absorbed from the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda came from the power of the 64 junior commanders. It came from the purple chi spirit and poured into Su Fang's body through his meridians. And after the integration of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, the junior commander's power didn't have a trace of demon chi. Papan's incredible aura burst out from Su Fang's skin, and his long hair danced. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda is worthy of being an existence close to a Tao artifact. After integrating all the junior commander's power into my body, my strength has completely surpassed the undying realm. Once I use the 7 divine abilities, I'll be able to surpass the undying realm and reach the yang nascent realm. After trying to control all the junior commander's power and integrate it with his body, Su Fang was sure that his strength had reached the yang nascent realm. It wasn't an ordinary yang nascent realm strength. Wonderful! Su Fang finally felt the true power of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. With his ability, he was only at the undying realm and around the undying realm. But with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, his strength had surpassed the undying realm and reached the yang nascent realm. It was really powerful. Exalted cultivator Yuezhen, I have to go to the Moonset Mountain Range to buy more high-grade pill cauldrons and find more materials. I also have to arrange for slaves to collect materials and sell pills. You stay here for the time being and look after the training field. Do your best to improve it and wait for me to return. Yes, leave it to me. After Su Fang hurriedly gave the order, other than the 64 junior commanders, all the servants and Bai Ling were to stay here. Bai Ling could absorb the power of the strange stones here and strengthen himself in a short time. If he followed Su Fang, his cultivation speed would be slower in the profound yellow space. Stepping on his flying sword, he passed through the clouds and dodged gusts of wind. After flying out of the 7 Stars Demon Island, he sensed the aura of the training field again. But because it was in the outer realm, there was no aura at all. This was for the best. No one could find a training field. Rushing to the Kubu clan, he entered the transportation gate and teleported to the Green Lotus Sword sect. In just 10 days, Su Fang returned to the Green Lotus Sword sect from the 7 Stars Demon Island. Gu Shizhen personally welcomed Su Fang and entered the territory of the Green Lotus Sword sect. This was the first time Su Fang witnessed the civilization and power of the Green Lotus Sword sect. This is St. Lotus City, the largest trading city controlled by the Green Lotus Sword sect. It is also the most famous trading market in the Wu-Tan domain. After browsing through some cities, he came to a huge city 10,000 miles away from the Green Lotus Sword Sect's training field. St. Lotus City. After Gu Shizhen's introduction, the two of them waited for a while. After a while, figures flew over. The leader was Li Ziqing. Beside him were Feng Xingzhen, Mo Fengjun, and the other servants. Senior. Gu Shizhen hurriedly bowed to Li Ziqing. Floating in the air, Su Feng told Li Ziqing his plan. I want to buy a large number of high-grade pill cauldrons, as well as some rare alchemy materials. Li Ziqing said, it's fine if you want to establish a training field on the Seven Stars Demon Island. It's a bit far, but I'll support you. You'll have to return to the Zhuitian domain in the future. You won't have time to take care of anything else. I'll help you sell the pills. Hee. Thank you, Senior. With Senior's reputation, the Yang Strengthening Pill will soon be popular in the Wu-Tan domain. At that time, Senior will be in charge of the pills. Let the Li family participate as well. This is nothing. It just so happens that I need an excuse to take advantage of the Wu-Tan domain. The Yang Strengthening Pill is a very good start. Li Ziqing completely agreed. He was looking forward to the day when the Yang Strengthening Pill would be sold. With Gu Shizhen leading the way, the group entered St. Lotus City. During this time, Li Ziqing was concerned about Su Feng's trip. He heard that he had suppressed many big goblins. He was worried for Su Feng, but he believed that Su Feng would be more scared than hurt. In the end, he even had a big harvest. Feng Xingzhen, Mo Fengjun, and the other 7 experts had secretly collected many materials. They were only lacking high-grade pill cauldrons. Immortal Sealing Chamber of Commerce. On the streets, cultivators were like a tide. A high-rise chamber of commerce attracted Su Feng's attention. In fact, he had sensed the auras of the 7 divine abilities first. This chamber of commerce was opened by the Immortal Sealing Sect in the Wu-Tan domain. Whether it was the scale or business, it was extraordinary. The Celestial Sealing Sect is developing quite quickly. They also have such a chamber of commerce in the Wu-Tan domain. It seems that the Green Lotus Sword Sect is giving them a lot of face. All right, just now, the 5 Poison Sect's leader sent a message to me. He heard that you were going to establish a dojo and will be coming soon. Nearby was a chamber of commerce opened by the Green Lotus Sword Sect. Just as they were about to reach the chamber of commerce, Li Ziqing smiled. Why is the Lord of 5 Poisons coming? He was extremely surprised. He had almost forgotten about this old antique. Once such a person revived, he should have made a big move. During this period of time, he did not leave the Wu-Tan domain, but secretly collected all kinds of resources. He is probably still recovering his strength. He should be here to help you. After all, you have established a dojo and are more or less a force. Since he asked you and me to help him rebuild the 5 Poison Divine Sect, he should help you at this time. Isn't it just establishing a pill refining base? He was very surprised, but also gratified. Connections, he felt the importance of connections. He had to change his view of the Lord of 5 Poisons. Once such a huge crocodile recovered his strength and had the 5 Poisons' true body, he would naturally be stronger than tens of thousands of years ago. Perhaps he would soon ascend to the outside world. Having such a huge crocodile as an ally was naturally a good thing. Green Lotus Chamber of Commerce Gu Shizhen opened the way as a high-level disciple of the Green Lotus Sword Sect, making Su Feng and Li Ziqing the most important guests. Chapter 385. Inside the guest room, the Green Lotus Sword Sect disciples quickly served tea for everyone. Compared to the crowded and noisy hall outside, the guest room was like a different world. Not only was it quiet, but it also emitted a shocking amount of spiritual energy. Master, what do you need? I can arrange it for you, so you don't have to search for it level by level. Gu Shizhen used his will to ask Su Feng. Profound Yellow Stone and Origin Jade Stone. I need these 2 strange stones. Also, there are a dozen high-grade pill cauldrons and 5 rare materials. Su Feng told Gu Shizhen everything he needed. With such a catastrophe realm running errands, Su Feng was extremely satisfied. Li Ziqing was too lazy to move, so he waited with Su Feng in the room. Purchasing resources this time would require a large amount of financial resources. Gu Shizhen was a catastrophe realm cultivator, so he would definitely find what Su Fong wanted. He would probably secretly use his divine ability to prepare a few empty bags filled with pills and spirit stones. About 2 hours later, Gu Shizhen strode into the guest room, still alone. He sent a sound transmission. I have everything. There are over 100 profound yellow stones and over 1,000 origin jade stones. They aren't cheap, but since I asked, the price is the lowest. Pill cauldrons aren't a problem, but there are many of them and the price is shocking. As for the other spirit herbs, they aren't a problem. Over 100 profound yellow stones. This surprised Su Fongda. Back in the Zhuotian world, he had only bought a few profound yellow stones from the ruins of the spirit sect. He didn't expect there to be so many here. Money isn't a problem. Give me a number. Su Fong nodded. When Gu Shizhen gave a number, it was indeed an astronomical number. Even an ordinary catastrophe realm cultivator wouldn't be able to take out such a shocking amount. At the very least, Gu Shizhen couldn't take out such a number. He handed the empty bags to Gu Shizhen and asked him to bring back the treasures first. Senior, do you know what treasures can strengthen the body? Since he was here, Su Fong still wanted to buy treasures that could help his cultivation. Li Ziqing lightly said, That's hard to say. There are many treasures, all sorts of them, but I can't say for the time being. I can see that your mortal body is already extraordinary, so there's no need for you to bitterly cultivate your mortal body. It's best if you cultivate magic tools and supernatural abilities. Only then will you have a chance of challenging a calamity powerhouse in the near future. Gu Shizhen returned quickly this time with an empty bag. His mind entered the empty bag to take a look. There were pill cauldrons, mysterious yellow stones, origin jade stones, and a large number of other materials. This is Feng Xingzhen and Mo Fengjun. In the future, they will come to St. Lotus City to buy materials. You will help them in the dark and cooperate well. After obtaining the treasure, Su Fong and Li Ziqing planned to leave. Walking out of the Chamber of Commerce, he gave a lot of instructions, especially telling Gu Shizhen to cooperate with Li Ziqing, Feng Xingzhen, and Mo Fengjun in the future. That woman is not simple. Su Fong didn't let Gu Shi deliver the goods. He walked down the street with Li Ziqing, Feng Xingzhen, and Mo Fengjun. But when they were about to pass by the Immortal Bestowment Chamber of Commerce, Li Ziqing's words attracted Su Fong's attention. Outside the Immortal Bestowment Chamber of Commerce, there was a blue-clothed, masked woman standing unobtrusively in the crowd. She didn't have any imposing aura, nor did she attract any attention. But because of that, Li Ziqing had noticed her. He was an ancient expert, so he definitely wouldn't be mistaken. What a familiar aura. He carefully examined the blue-clothed woman. Although he couldn't see her appearance, her aura and her ethereal charm seemed familiar. But one thing was certain. She was a disciple of the Immortal Bestowment sect. Li Ziqing looked for a while more. That woman's constitution is not simple. Little fellow, your Immortal Bestowment sect shouldn't have many disciples with such an extraordinary physical body. I also can't tell what kind of constitution it is. But at my realm, coupled with some special sensing techniques, I can confirm that this woman's constitution is not simple. Furthermore, her cultivation is astonishing and she is abnormally strong. He shook his head and was about to leave when he sighed. He was certain that the Immortal Bestowment sect's rise wasn't a coincidence. But just as he took a step, Su Fong's eyes suddenly filled with shock. Lan Haicheng, two blue-clothed women had just walked out of the Immortal Bestowment Chamber of Commerce. Su Fong just happened to see one of them from the corner of his eyes. It was none other than Lan Haicheng, whom he had met a few times before. It was Lan Haicheng, who had fought against the ape and dog on Flying Immortal Island and suppressed the 100-spirit ape. You know all of them in the Calamity Realm? Asked Li Ziqing curiously. Junior knows all of them. Senior, you should leave first. I'll secretly watch. If there's nothing, I'll immediately return to 7-Star Demon Island. If the Lord of the Five Poisons wants to come, Junior can wait for him. We can go to 7-Star Demon Island together. Junior will respectfully welcome Senior there. Su Fong bowed. Li Ziqing didn't have any objections and disappeared into the crowd. He found a deserted place and sucked Feng Xingjun and Mo Fengjun into the profound yellow space. When he returned to the street, he just happened to see the crowd. After following them for a while, the three of them entered the immortal bestowment chamber of commerce. Could that woman be the leader of the fragrant jade faction, Huang Lingyao? Su Feng thought to himself, Huang Lingyao is the leader of Lan Haicheng, so she must be Huang Lingyao. The three of them are so secretive. Why did they enter the immortal bestowment chamber and hide their identities? First, he was curious. Then, he recalled that a few years ago at Xinjia Gate, Huang Lingyao had publicly stood up for him in front of 100,000 disciples and blocked Prince Shui. After that battle, Su Feng felt that he owed Huang Lingyao a huge favor. If it weren't for her, Prince Shui wouldn't have let him go. It wouldn't have been as simple as losing his left arm. Let's go in first and confirm that it's Huang Lingyao. Then, I'll transform into Feng Yu and say thank you to her. After thinking for a while, Su Fengdao walked towards the immortal bestowment chamber of commerce. The immortal bestowment chamber of commerce was too coincidental. At this time, there was a lot of people and cultivators were coming in and out. It was very lively. Every cultivator knew the origin of the immortal bestowment chamber of commerce. It was between the righteous Tao and the evil Tao. Many of the items they sold couldn't be bought in the righteous Tao chamber of commerce. This wasn't right. On the first floor, Su Feng saw a golden core. It was a golden core left behind by a righteous Tao expert after his death. There were over a dozen divine patterns on the door. It was a treasure. Only the immortal bestowment chamber would dare to sell a righteous Tao cultivator's golden core so brazenly. When he reached the highest floor, there were less than half of the cultivators, but there were still over 200 people surrounding different counters. Su Feng saw Lan Haicheng and the other two women looking at something in front of the counter. Su Feng, with the aura of an ordinary imperishable realm cultivator, casually walked to the side to watch the show. Water, steadying talisman. An expert from the immortal bestowment chamber of commerce walked over and introduced it to the three women. This is a water-steadying talisman that has reached the Yang Soul stage. There aren't many of them, so there's no room for negotiation. It's indispensable to go to the deep waters. How many do you have? We'll take them all. Huang Lingyao and the other woman didn't say a word. Lan Haicheng was talking with the immortal bestowment chamber of commerce. In the end, the three of them spent a high price to buy several dozen water-steadying talismans. Su Feng didn't understand. This was the first time he had heard of a water-steadying talisman. But in the dark, exalted Master Yuezhen explained, the water-steadying talisman is a type of talisman used to control deep waters. For example, waves, waterspouts, or deep water whirlpools all require a water-steadying talisman. At this time, Lan Haicheng bought another scroll. After they left, Su Feng also bought one. The 18 Water Bandits. The scroll turned out to be a list of wanted criminals. It was also a map of the water region. It showed the 8 water regions of the Wu-Tan realm, especially the 18 water regions that were condensed with true runes. Each region was originally controlled by a powerful pirate. After leaving the immortal bestowment chamber of commerce, he continued to follow the three women to another chamber of commerce. During this time, Su Feng specially learned about the wanted list. The 18 water bandits were experts who dominated a region of the water region. Each one was a tyrant of a region. They used the advantage of the water region to dominate a region. Some even established a water empire that wasn't inferior to second-rate powers. The various powers of the Wu-Tan realm had spent a lot of money to reward the 18 water bandits, hoping that someone could kill them. Thus, the reward for each pirate was shockingly high. The basic price was a king-grade magic artifact. As long as you killed the pirates and brought them back to the Chamber of Commerce, you could receive the reward. The first pirate is Shui Wuying, one of the 18 water bandits. The reward is a king-grade magic artifact and 10,000 life, seizing recreating pills. Subconsciously, his gaze fell on the coordinates of the first water region. The reward was ridiculously high, 10,000 life-seizing recreating pills was enough to move the hearts of any Calamity Realm powerhouse. Even a Calamity Realm powerhouse could only take out a few hundred life-seizing recreating pills. Could it be that Lan Haicheng followed Huang Lingyao here to kill one of the 18 water bandits? Filled with curiosity, after waiting for a while, the three women came out of the Chamber of Commerce. Su Fong found a secluded place and summoned the 7 slaves. He placed a Xian Guang into Feng Xingzhen's palm. Take the resources and go to 7-Star Demon Island. Exalted Master Yuezhen is there. You must properly instruct everyone to start refining pills. If there is a mistake, you will not be forgiven. Let's go. The 7 experts accepted the order and left. They continued to follow the 3 women. They stayed for a while at an inconspicuous Chamber of Commerce. After they left, Su Fong immediately went to find a boss. He spent money to find out what the 3 women had bought. They did not buy anything. They only asked for information. This is a secret. Us merchants also have business ethics. The boss was very shrewd. Su Fong took out a lot of spirit stones, and the boss immediately changed his appearance. They asked about the 18 water bandits, the number 1 pirate, Shui Wuying. Shui Wuying. Could it be that they wanted to kill Shui Wuying? I have to start with the previous storm. I don't know which power in the Wu-Ten world spent a lot of money to invite many experts to kill Shui Wuying. This matter caused a huge commotion in the Wu-Ten world. A few days ago, there was news that Shui Wuying had killed many people, causing those experts to be unable to return. But now it's different. I heard that a powerful devil also came to find Shui Wuying for a bounty. That devil is extremely powerful, and he's infamous in the Wu-Tan world. He's a devil who commits all sorts of crimes. There are also other rumors. For example, some people say that Shui Wuying stole a supreme treasure from a major power, which infuriated them and made them want to get rid of her. Some say that Shui Wuying has some sort of cultivation technique that a major power wants, which is why they secretly sent experts to attack her. In any case, Shui Wuying is a great bandit who specializes in opposing major powers. She doesn't have any conflicts with most cultivators. The boss took the money and told them all in one breath. Those 3 women must be thinking about Shui Wuying. Su Fong quickly caught up with the 3 women. Staring at them, he said, "This matter has nothing to do with me. I should leave now." The boss said that Shui Wuying is incomparably powerful. Huang Lingyao probably won't be able to benefit from it. If I can help, I can even return Huang Lingyao a favor. After hesitating for a while, he finally decided to follow the 3 women. It wouldn't take much time, and he also wanted to see how powerful Huang Lingyao's desolate body was. The 3 women bought a water-type defensive treasure from another merchant. They went back and forth and prepared many things before leaving St. Lotus City. I have the Leech King, so I can go anywhere in the water domain. Right, I also have a devil. If I have the chance, I can suppress a powerful devil servant. Su Fong quickly followed the 3 women out of St. Lotus City. Chapter 386. The layout of the Wu-Tan realm and the Zhuo realm was slightly different. The Zhuo realm was mostly a single realm, while the Wu-Tan realm was filled with water bodies of different sizes. Several days later, after passing through the Spirit Immortal Sect's territory and the Thousand-Layer Mountain Range, they arrived at the Boundless Water region. According to the coordinates on the wanted list, the water region ahead was located at the center of the 3 continents. It was a water region where many cultivators came and went. The number 1 pirate, Shui Wuying, occupied this region called the Jingluo Water region. The Jingluo Water region was previously unknown to the public, but 1,000 years ago, a peerless pirate had appeared here, and her name had spread far and wide. In particular, it was rumored that this pirate was one of the publicly recognized beauties of the Wu-Tan realm. The closest power to the Jingluo Water region is the Spirit Immortal Sect. The others are all second-rate powers. Shui Wuying really knows how to pick a place. Without a major power, who would be able to suppress her? Flying across the sky, he used his great perfection ability to smell taste, and other senses to follow closely behind the three women 10,000 meters behind. Before long, a small continent appeared, and the three of them flew into it. When Su Fang arrived, he saw that there was also a city here. It was also very bustling. Looking down from the sky, the city was bustling with activity. But up close, it was impossible to tell that this was a continent within a water region. What puzzled Su Fang was that the three of them spent a bit of time flying into a mountain range. There was a ruined city in the depths, and there was no one there. The three of them arrived at the ruined city. They kept moving through the ruins, stopping here and there. It was unknown why they had come here. Su Fang hid his aura and entered the forest. He walked around the ruined city, using his hearing to see what their goal was. Senior apprentice sister, Lan Haichun, and the other woman suddenly bowed and left the ruins. The veiled woman should be Huang Lingyao. That mysterious and special temperament was definitely not wrong. Huang Lingyao stood in the ruins, waiting for a while. At this time, a black figure came from the other side of the ruins. It was extremely fast, and in a breath's time, it appeared in front of Huang Lingyao. It was also a woman. Unlike Huang Lingyao's blue robes that were filled with spiritual qi, the woman was wearing tight black clothes. Her figure was on the verge of bursting out, and her black hair was swaying in the wind. The woman also used a scarf to cover her face, and only a pair of deep, watery eyes could be seen. I can't see through her cultivation base. Could it be that she's another tribulation cultivator? And she doesn't have any of the 7 divine abilities on her, nor does she have the aura of the immortal sealing gate's origin. Su Fang secretly stared at the black-clothed woman, trying to figure out her identity. He originally thought that she was a high-ranking disciple of the Celestial Sealing School, but was denied. "How long have you not been here?" The woman in black suddenly said to Huang Lingyao. Huang Lingyao nodded and said in a hoarse voice, "It's been 100 years. During this time, I've been thinking of ways to increase my strength and strive to become the new leader of the Celestial Sealing Sect." The other party asked again, glancing at the periphery, "Why did you bring outsiders here? They're my trusted aides, and they're as close as sisters. I hope I can be of help this time." "Big sister, you don't have to worry about them. They've been with me for hundreds of years, and I've tested them countless times. They're completely trustworthy." "Fine. Big sister believes in you and everything you've done. Could it be that you haven't defeated Prince Shui and Shang Changsheng to become the next leader of the Celestial Sealing Sect?" "Big sister, you're underestimating Prince Shui and Shang Changsheng. Those two aren't simple. Prince Shui obtained the inheritance of an immortal in his early years. That immortal is still alive, and Prince Shui is able to pass on techniques to him through the void from small to large worlds, making Prince Shui constantly grow stronger. As for Shang Changsheng, although I don't know who he is, he was born with divine strength and astonishing defense. His physical body is as tough as a high-grade Dharma artifact. I'll have to take it one step at a time. Prince Shui actually has an immortal in a large world passing on techniques through the void." The two women were like old friends in the depths of the ruins, whispering to each other. Su Fang, who had advanced to the imperishable realm and transformed his fleshly body, naturally heard everything within 1,000 meters of him. He didn't care about Huang Lingyao's purpose in coming here, because an incomparably powerful figure appeared in his mind, Prince Shui. He thought that his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds in the past few years, obtaining the Rakshasa Jade Bottle, the Immortal's Corpse, Exalted Master Yuezhan, and a large number of junior commanders. Then, if he worked hard for a few more years, he would be able to challenge Prince Shui within 10 years. But now, after learning about Prince Shui's secret from Huang Lingyao, Su Fang's heart sank. An immortal passing on techniques through the void to him? Doesn't that mean an immortal is cleansing his marrow and giving him enlightenment? Immortal Dao Field Su Fang had personally experienced how powerful immortals were. For example, the ancient flood dragon was a peerless existence. If it wasn't Xinjia Gate, a normal Dao artifact wouldn't have been able to suppress it. Experts like the Frost King and the Fire King had their bodies shackled, but they were still stronger than Li Ziqing, exalted Master Yuezhen, and the Green Feather King. Shadowless. Huang Lingyao called out softly, causing Su Fang's attention to the woman in black. Shadowless water, shadowless, could it be? The woman in black was displeased and suddenly asked, "You don't call me big sister. It seems you've become one of the 3 Dao sovereigns of the immortal sealing sect. It's time to leave this body of water. You and I can go to a wider world to cultivate. With your strength, no matter where you go, you'll be a Dao sovereign's disciple. In the future, you'll be able to control a world. Why did you wander in this body of water for 1,000 years and attract so many experts to kill you? As your elder sister, I'm naturally happy that you've reached your current level. But everyone has different choices. This is the place where I grew up. You and my family are buried under these ruins. How can I give them up? Furthermore, after 1,000 years of cultivation, I've reached the same level as you. Even if you're a disciple of the Zun Dao, I might not necessarily lose to you. I'm convinced. Let's not talk about this. It's rare for us to meet each other once in 100 years, so we won't be unhappy." The woman in black emitted a 5-colored light. Her black clothes disappeared, and she was now wearing a snow-white dress. She led the way and met up with the 2 women from Blue Ocean City. The 4 of them flew for a while and entered the city. Su Fang arrived at the city and locked onto the aura. It was a small shop. It couldn't be compared to a large faction. It was just an ordinary shop. There were only 2 floors in the shop, but there were at least a few hundred people trading. Su Fang sensed that the 4 women were deep in the barrier. He pretended to be looking for treasures and secretly used his hearing. Soon, a familiar voice came. It was Blue Ocean City. "Senior sister, who is she?" "An old friend I met in my early years. We're like family. Rest well in this city. Don't worry about anything else." At this moment, Huang Lingyao came out. She was alone. Soon, the woman in white also appeared. The 2 of them went to the 2nd floor and approached the window. Huang Lingyao said softly, "Since there are many experts coming to deal with you, why did you go to the water domain? You should stay here for a while. Everything will be over. You should leave everything here. You have a chamber of commerce and a lot of resources. Why did you take risks?" "I specialize in the water domain. I can't be separated from the water domain for the rest of my life. Besides, even if I become stronger, I can't leave this place. There's a reason why they came to deal with me this time. Could it be that they want the treasure to deal with sister?" Not long ago, in the water domain's lair under my control, a huge wave suddenly rose and swallowed many merchant ships passing by. A spatial vortex suddenly formed in the sky. A cold light came from the vortex and fell into the depths of the water domain. The cultivators who witnessed this scene immediately spread the news. The large factions in the surrounding continents soon knew that there was an extraterrestrial treasure in the water domain. If it wasn't for the treasure, they wouldn't be willing to spend so much effort to deal with me. All these years, I didn't let go of any merchant ships that passed by, but I didn't do anything to ordinary cultivators. You know why I did this? 1,000 years ago, the people who destroyed our home were experts from certain large factions. I know Sister Bai's feelings. Huang Lingyao trembled. She was so weak that she felt like she was about to collapse to the ground. So in the immortal sealing sect, even the powerful sovereign Dao disciples were like ordinary women in front of their loved ones. Then Huang Lingyao isn't a cultivator born in the Zhuotian world. She was born in the Jingluo water domain and is Shui Wuying's sister. Su Fang, who was pretending to be looking for treasures, was less than 10 meters away from the 2 of them. She was incomparably shocked. She had never thought that a sovereign Dao disciple from one world and a pirate from another world would be sisters. In that case, the reason Huang Lingyao had come to the Jingluo water domain was very simple. She had come to help Shui Wuying get through this difficult situation. The 2 of them left the 2nd floor. When Su Fang arrived downstairs, the 2 of them left the shop and flew into the air. In the clouds high up in the sky, the 2 women were dressed in black. Let's follow them. In any case, with the Leech King, I don't need to be restrained in the water domain. The The two of them should be going to the depths of the water domain. Su Fong followed them at a low altitude. She also used her peak great perfection ability to follow them. 2 hours later, they should have arrived at the center of the Jingluo water domain. It was boundless, and they could occasionally see islands. After flying for a while, they suddenly arrived at a place where the wind was howling and the waves were sweeping. Furthermore, this area was filled with fog. Once they entered the fog, they would have to avoid the waves and pay attention to their direction. Fortunately, they had summoned the Leech King and hid inside it. After a while, they arrived at a small island that had been attacked and turned into ruins. They could see the remains of some buildings. This should be Shui Wuying's nest. Sister, could it be that they have already obtained the treasure from beyond the heavens? Within the waves, Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuying weren't affected by the waves. Shui Wuying especially seemed to be able to control the waves, and they would always separate from her. They haven't found the exact location yet. This time, I called you here because I hoped that with your help, we would be able to fuse with that treasure first. That way, all of those evil people's plans would naturally fail. Whirlpool Mystic Door. Shui Wuying grabbed at the water with both hands. The cold water condensed into a mystic door, and Shui Wuying led Huang Lingyao into the mystic door. At this moment, the Leech King had sunk into the water. Su Fong looked through the Leech King's flesh membrane defense. Under the turbulent water, there was actually a water spout that looked like a huge tree root that was extending into the water. Such a powerful water ability. No wonder she could move unhindered in the Jingluo water domain. Shui Wuying's ability was already on par with a monster. It could be said that in the underwater world, no one could do anything to her. Master, within a few miles of the water domain, there are many cultivators' auras. They quietly followed the water spout and approached the depths of the water domain. At this moment, the Leech King sensed many auras. It's fine. They should be cultivators who came here to search for treasures. As long as they aren't water attribute divine arts users, what's the point of coming here? Moreover, it's even better if they come. This way you can suppress them. I just happen to need more slaves to refine pills for me. This subordinate understands. The Leech King revealed a ferocious gaze. An extremely shocking underwater mountain range appeared in the underwater world. Who would have thought that there would be a verdant forest growing in the mountain range? Chapter 387. The underwater forest, upon closer inspection, was actually some incomparably huge algae. These algae should have possessed a demonic nature, because Su Fong's left arm was buzzing slightly, indicating that the algae forest had some spiritual energy. The water spout in front was like an underwater monster. It passed through the underwater forest and the peak of the mountain range, and then entered an underwater canyon. At one end of the canyon, there was a crack. It seemed that something had hit the canyon with a huge force, leaving a deep pit. A terrifying aura was released from the depths of the canyon. Master. Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuying rode the water spout and entered the canyon. Leech King came to the side of the canyon at this time. His heartbeat accelerated uneasily. He hurriedly released his great perfection ability and sensed the canyon below. Who knew that before he sensed anything? The purple Chi Dharma spirit in his right arm suddenly sensed something. The powerful Leech King's strength was undoubtedly below the water realm. He actually sensed a terrifying aura. The purple Chi Dharma spirit also moved at this time. Xian Huang flashed over, and even the original spirit of Rakshasa, Jade, reacted at this time. Master, it's an incomparably powerful magic weapon. It's too terrifying. At such a distance, there's a power to repel us. I also sensed it. Rakshasa Jade responded with a little fear. Su Fong was startled. The two king-grade transcendent treasures actually felt threatened by the might projected by an unknown transcendent treasure. He asked anxiously, Xian Huang, you sense the Xianjia Gate. Could it be that this magic weapon has reached the same level as the Xianjia Gate? Xian Huang said, I can't say. The Xianjia Gate is indescribable. This unknown magic weapon's power is very terrifying. Master, don't you have a Dao bead? This bead is a Tao weapon, but it doesn't have the power to make me tremble. This is definitely a Tao weapon, countless times stronger than the bead. That bead, maybe in the big world, is just an ordinary Tao weapon like a low-grade magic weapon in the small world. Rakshasa Jade responded, "No matter what, let's go and see first. Since there was a powerful magic weapon, they should go and see." Such a treasure was rare. Except for the Xinjia Gate, Su Fang had not seen an extremely powerful Tao weapon. The Zhen Yuan demonic heavenly book in Li Haojia's hand was also very powerful. Hoo-hoo! At this moment, there were some splashes in the surroundings. Looking over, there were actually a dozen or so bubble-like crystalline lights slowly approaching the canyon. Within each bubble were a dozen or so young nascent realm cultivators and even tribulation realm cultivators. The bubble was releasing its sensing power, coming all the way from the underwater mountain range and gradually locking onto its target, the Grand Canyon. Gulp the Leech King flashed and entered the canyon. Su Fang sensed the bubbles above. He didn't need to think to know that they were the powerhouses who had come to kill Shui Wuying and steal his treasures. There were nearly 200 of them, as well as several catastrophe realm powerhouses. Those who came did not come with good intentions. Hee, it's good that you're here. I have a chance to suppress these experts. The Leech King continued to advance into the depths of the canyon. It was as if he was gliding. His speed was extremely fast, but he didn't make any movements. A unique light slowly emerged from the depths of the dark canyon. After a while, they finally reached the bottom of the canyon. Unexpectedly, there were countless demonic underwater plants at the bottom of the canyon, forming a canyon forest. It was as if a group of demons were awakening their hibernation. If it wasn't for the Leech King and Su Fang's natural courage, he would have been scared to the point of leaving. A few hundred meters ahead, there was also a bubble-like barrier. Around the barrier were ruins that had been created not long ago. In the center of the ruins, Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuying were sitting cross-legged on either side of a floating Qingfeng sword. Qingfeng sword, it was this Qingfeng sword that didn't seem to have any sharpness, but the invisible divine might that it emitted caused Su Fang's magical treasures to tremble. The purple Qi Law spirit was also slowly moving. It wasn't that it was afraid of the Qingfeng sword, but for some reason, it seemed to have a special feeling towards the Qingfeng sword. Shui Wuying is indeed a water-type divine ability user. Even without the water-stabilizing talisman or other magical treasures, he can control the deep water within 100 meters and collect the Qingfeng sword together with Huang Lingyao. However, the sword is a supreme treasure. I'm afraid that the two of them won't be able to collect it in a short period of time. It might even be difficult to collect it successfully. This kind of treasure, even if an immortal descends to the mortal world, he won't be able to move it at all. Su Fang let the Leech King hide in the forest and wait. He didn't have any ideas about the treasure. He just wanted to return Huang Lingyao a favor. At the same time, he wanted to see if he could suppress the slaves. He was lacking slaves to refine pills. Hiss after waiting for a long time, those experts didn't appear. It seemed that they weren't sure where the treasure was. However, there was a sudden movement in the forest behind them. It's a water demon. It's very powerful. The Leech King that was hibernating and motionless looked behind. Su Fang also saw what it saw. Sure enough, a terrifying great demon that looked like a snake flashed through the forest in a pitch-black manner. Moreover, the water plants in the forest actually attacked the big goblin. They did indeed have a demonic nature. Master, look, it's not just one water demon. There are more water demons rushing up. The Leech King looked up again. There were many bubbles rushing up. Within each bubble was a powerful water demon. They're going to ambush those experts above. Leech King, go up and take the opportunity to suppress those experts. They're naturally not a match for the water demons. It's also the best time to suppress them. Su Fang smiled slyly. The Leech King immediately rushed out and jumped up from the forest. Like lightning, the Leech King flew out for a distance before forming a splash. At this moment, in the air above the other canyons, there were also more than 10 water demons flying towards the canyons. It seemed that the monsters hiding in the deep water had all sensed the presence of humans. Above the canyons, large amounts of water and magic treasures collided. A few water demons surrounded the barrier formed by the experts and began to attack. They spat out demonic chi, causing the deep water to attack the barrier again and again. Even more water demons attacked. When they saw the barrier, they spat out waves of divine power, causing the barrier to shake and shatter. These water demons were all at the Yang Soul realm. With the advantage of the deep water, they were all very powerful. Some of their demonic chi contained poison, causing the cultivators to suffer even more. However, among them were Calamity Realm experts. They weren't ordinary cultivators. When these experts used their Calamity Realm abilities, which one of them didn't specialize in water techniques. However, they could control a certain amount of water and release divine abilities, causing the water demons to scatter. Especially when they summoned royal-grade magic treasures, their power was boundless. When the water demons sensed the royal-grade magic treasures, they could only attack other Yang Soul Realm experts. Whoosh whoosh. 5 Calamity Realm experts flew out from different barriers. These people's cultivation should be similar to Gushijin's. Their strength should have reached the level of Blue Ocean City. However, there was a black-robed man among them. His aura was especially strange, and his cultivation was profound. A Devil Dao expert. The 5 experts instantly killed their way into the canyon, leaving behind more than 100 Yang Soul Realm experts to fight with more than 20 water demons in the deep water. The Leech King asked, "Master, what should we do?" Su Fong was very calm as he watched the 5 experts leave. His eyes suddenly sharpened. Suppress the human experts first, then suppress the water demons. With your strength and speed, no water demon here can be your opponent. Yes, Master. There are a few human experts who fell into the deep water and were attacked by the water demons. With a swing of his tail, the Leech King instantly swam towards the mountain range. Below the canyon. Sister, someone is coming. Their aura is very familiar. They should be the people who surrounded me and destroyed my dojo some time ago. Around the azure sharp treasured sword, Shui Wuying's 2 fingers emitted a chilling aura that wrapped around the sword. Especially from her and Huang Lingyao's eyes, a faint silver aura was emitted. It was this mysterious aura that could suppress the azure sharp sword's aura. Such a treasure seemed to recognize the mysterious aura of the 2 women. Sister, go and deal with them. But in this underwater world, Sister is the king. Sister, you can take the immortal sword first and merge with it later. This immortal sword is really incomparably powerful. It doesn't feel inferior to the Xinjia Gate. With this magic treasure, Sister will definitely become the strongest expert in this Wutan world. Huang Lingyao stood up in an instant. At this moment, she calmly walked out of the water area controlled by Shui Wuying. Whoosh! The terrifying pressure of the deep water seemed to swallow Huang Lingyao. Whoosh! At the same time, a water demon that was lurking in the dark saw Huang Lingyao coming out. Perhaps the water demon was too afraid of the immortal sword, so it didn't make a move. But at this moment, Huang Lingyao left alone and was just attacked by the water demon. It bit her and stirred up a wave of several feet high. Little demon, you're courting death. Huang Lingyao's palm struck the air. It was gentle and beautiful, but it also carried a sense of sharpness. She grabbed it with lightning speed, and a few rays of light flickered in her palm. Chi! Chi! The big goblin still didn't understand what was going on. Its body was forcefully torn into several pieces by the invisible force around it. Pieces of meat fell down. The big goblin couldn't even withstand one move from Huang Lingyao. She formed another seal. The surrounding water stopped, and the deep water under her feet began to condense into a flower. Huang Lingyao stepped on the flower of the waves and flew to the top of the canyon. Immortal sword. In the center of the canyon, only one person and one sword remained. Facing the azure sharp sword, Shui Wuying condensed his blood and chi. You came from the outer world, just like the power of the outer world descending on my dojo. Why did you come here to merge with me? With my constitution, I will definitely be able to perfect your ability in the future. The immortal's sword buzzed slightly. It was unknown if it really understood what Shui Wuing was saying. In midair of the canyon. Is she Shui Wuing? The 5 experts were suddenly blocked by the masked Huang Lingyao who was riding on the flower of the waves. The demon expert revealed an evil light. Her figure is the same. The places that should be big are big enough. The places that should be round are round enough. The cold eyes are also the same. It's her, Shui Wuing. If we work together to take her down, not only will we get the treasure, we will also get the famous beauty of the Wu Tan domain. Tisk. TSK. The 4 experts laughed in unison, trembling. Evil person, we still don't know who will die here today. Huang Lingyao's cold eyes were filled with strong, killing intent. The demon was ruthless. Shui Wuing, serve me obediently. Otherwise, I will refine you into a sex slave. You will allow me to have fun day and night and use you to practice my martial arts. Not even as good as a group of animals. We are animals, kill. Under the demon's order, the 5 of them grabbed a large number of runes together. Chi. One rune after another rushed towards Huang Lingyao. This is the Raging Flame rune. Huang Lingyao's eyes widened. Yes, you are also a water divine ability user. The last time I fought with you, your cold chi was very scary. But this Raging Flame rune is specially used to suppress the cold chi. You can't escape today. Pa, pa. In an instant, a large number of Raging Flame runes exploded, and the rolling fire wolves, along with the 5 experts, suppressed Huang Lingyao. Such a large area of flames even boiled the surrounding water. Some underwater creatures turned white on the spot and were burned alive. Whoosh! A beam of sword chi shot out from Huang Lingyao's eyes, slashing at the bottom of the astonishing layer of flames that was pressing down. Chapter 388. Zzz. This sword chi exploded from her eyes, causing lightning to erupt from the bottom. It was like a whip, causing the raging flames to rise quite a bit. Bang! 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 The 5 giants all retreated a step. One of the Devil Path experts cried out in shock. What a powerful woman! Even in the face of the 5 of us, her attacks are still so fierce. You people from the corrupt path are just a bunch of shrimps in front of me. You're nothing. Today, none of you will leave. Huang Lingyao's aura gradually spread out. A disciple from one of the celestial sealing sects, 3 Dao sovereigns would display a power that would deter countless geniuses from the celestial sealing sect. This woman really is unfathomable. Kill. The 5 experts all unleashed their void palm arts. One palm after another formed a formless palm that pressed down on the power of the flames. The entire layer of burning flames turned into a flaming palm that split the deep waters apart, forming a huge cutting force of water blades. Splash! Huang Lingyao stood against the water splashes. Crimson mystic light flashed all over her body, making sizzling noises. No one knew what kind of divine ability it was. Bang! A crimson Xianguang struck the huge palm. The space in the deep water shook, and a 1,000-meter deep whirlpool was formed. This was the terrifying aspect of a Calamity Realm expert. The astral chi and pressure they created could cause absolute destruction. Bang! Bang! Another crimson Xianguang struck the huge Raging Flame palm. The 5 experts above repeatedly struck out with their palms. All kinds of magic power surged out, condensing into all kinds of divine abilities that poured into the Raging Flame palm. They wanted to use this huge palm to combine their power and use their divine abilities to kill Huang Lingyao. Huang Lingyao, on the other hand, was not flustered at all. She was in no hurry at all. Her dermic powers drove the mystic light out, and her mystic ability made the mystic light of the attacking giant palm become more and more dazzling. Above the canyon. Careful, it's a big goblin leech. The bottom, middle, and upper layers of the canyon were all fighting. A black leech slithered through the waves and opened its mouth, swallowing a young soul cultivator who was shackled by the deep water into its stomach. In fact, as soon as it entered his stomach, it was sucked into Su Fang's true devil blood plate and imprisoned inside. The Yang Soul cultivators, who had been scattered by the water monster and were unable to join forces to deal with the water monster, saw the Leech King and hurriedly ran for their lives. Ku, the Leech King was indeed a water-big goblin. It was as if he was shuttling through the world of deep water, running wildly. It was 5 times more powerful than the cultivators. The 5 of them had just flown 100 meters when they were blocked by the Leech King. It opened its mouth and swallowed another expert. Swish! The remaining experts urged their flying swords to attack the Leech King. In the end, the high-grade magical artifact was shackled by the water pressure in the deep water world. It was unable to surpass the Leech King's speed. By the time the attack arrived, the Leech King had already flashed to the other side and seized the opportunity to swallow an expert. It was simply a hunt. The big goblin was hunting down human cultivators. Swish, swish. Just as it was hunting down the cultivators, Su Fang heard some movements and told the Leech King to look up. A few flying swords were quickly flying towards the canyon. A few more Catastrophe Realm experts have arrived and are heading straight for the canyon. Could they be the helpers of those Catastrophe Realm experts? Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuing are in trouble now. If we don't quickly retrieve the Azure Sharp Treasured Sword, we will definitely be in danger once so many experts surround us. Su Fang immediately told the Leech King to leave the mountain range and sneak into the canyon to follow the experts. He also used his great perfection ability to listen in on their conversation. The lead Demon King and the others are really trash. Fortunately, we locked onto the treasure's location. Listen up, our experts have already set up an ambush on the water surface. It will be best if we can kill Shui Wuing underwater. If we can't, we can join forces and force her into the trap. The treasure underwater, as well as Shui Wuing's constitution, will all belong to our primordial truth sacred ground. A middle-aged man with a square face transmitted his voice to the 3 experts around him. 4 Catastrophe Realm experts, in addition to the previous 5, made a total of 9 Catastrophe Realm experts. They were here to deal with Shui Wuing and the pirates. The Primordial Truth Sacred Ground is a first-rate power in the Wu-Tan field. It's famous everywhere. It's located in the southwest of the Jingluo Water Domain and has a territory called the Sacred Ground. It seems that the Primordial Truth Sacred Ground is secretly plotting to kill Shui Wuing. Shui Wuing's constitution. Could it be that this woman isn't simple? The Leech King shuttled through the dark forest, following the 4 experts closely. Their conversation was clearly heard by Su Fang, who was hiding in his body. He didn't expect to encounter a first-rate power. The Primordial Truth Sacred Ground. This was a power comparable to the Green Lotus Sword sect. Ever since our sect's first elder accidentally discovered the shadowless water physique, he's been thinking of ways to suppress this woman for the past several hundred years. If we can kill or suppress her underwater, we'll be able to become elders in the future and obtain the Holy Master's favor. Yes, senior brother, we will definitely do our best to suppress this demoness. Shui Wuing is below us. It's not her. She's deeper in, controlling her magical treasure. Then who is this woman? She's so powerful. She's able to contend against 5 great experts of the Li dynasty by herself. Who cares who she is? Let the 5 of them deal with her. We've secretly paid a huge price to invite the 5 of them. We'll deal with Shui Wuing. The 4 experts hurriedly flew and discussed in low voices. They were discussing how to deal with Shui Wuing. Huang Lingyao is so powerful. Looking at the distance, Su Fang couldn't help but clap his hands in praise. Huang Lingyao stood in the center, releasing a dazzling Xianguang. She was able to contend against 5 Catastrophe Realm experts by herself. She was truly worthy of being one of the 3 sovereign disciples of the Celestial Sealing Gate. That 1,000-meter area was filled with Xianguang. Huang Lingyao controlled countless Xianguang to repel the divine abilities of the 5 experts. That was definitely a forbidden area that no disciple below the catastrophe realm could approach. Shui Wuing still hasn't fused with her magical treasure. At the bottom of the canyon, Su Fong stared at the four experts of the Yuanjin Sacred Land as they launched a sneak attack on Shui Wuing. Furthermore, they were all using their magical treasures. There was even a king-grade flying sword among them. Clang! Clang! Shui Wuing suddenly jumped up, floating above the azure-edged treasured sword. He waved his hand, and a needle-shaped magic treasure appeared. He flicked his finger at the magic treasure that was attacking the four experts. The needle-shaped magical treasure and the magical treasure clashed like spring thunder. Dazzling sparks shot out each time they collided, forming a 1,000-meter area of destructive water. The sparks illuminated the bottom of the canyon. Many aquatic demons were shocked and fled into the abyss. The needle-shaped magical treasure was indeed powerful. Shui Wuing didn't use any divine abilities. She controlled the power of the water and shouted angrily, "Yuanjin's sacred land, you shameless bastards. Why bother hiding? You've killed your way into my territory several times. Not only have you killed my people, but you've also destroyed my training grounds. Do you think that just because you've changed your skin, I won't recognize you? You're worse than pigs and dogs. Demonis, you won't be able to escape this time. That magical treasure belongs to my Yuanjin sacred land." The square-faced, middle-aged man held a king-grade halberd. He was very impressive. With a wave of his hand, he formed a four-cornered formation with the other three experts. Shui Wuing sucked the needle-shaped magical treasure into his palm. "Come if you have the ability. Cut the crap. Kill." 4-kill Rakshasa formation. The four experts activated their magical treasures. Buzz. The four magical treasures, the Xian Guang, strangled together and formed a terrifying halberd. It was 30 meters long and directly slashed at Shui Wuing. Swish! Clang! The needle-shaped magical treasure in her palm flew out and collided with the halberd. This time, the aura of the four experts slightly gained the upper hand and forced the needle-shaped magical treasure back. This collision seemed to have torn the surrounding water apart. Su Fong, who was far away, felt his eardrums tremble when he heard it. That was because, under the state of great perfection, such a sound would cause people to go crazy. "Help! I can't even protect myself." Shui Wuing and Huang Lingyao strength is about the same. Prince Shui and Huang Lingyao are both honorable Tao disciples. My strength is still too weak. I have to continue to cultivate bitterly and increase my strength. If I can reach the Yang infant realm, I might be able to compete with a catastrophe realm powerhouse. This trip was not in vain. Just seeing the difference between a catastrophe realm powerhouse and a catastrophe realm powerhouse was worth it. He secretly held back his energy. One day in the future, he would definitely be able to stand on the stage and have a fair fight with Prince Shui. Buzz! Buzz! His right arm moved again. After sensing it, he realized that the purple Chi Dharma spirit had also sensed the aura of the azure-sharp treasured sword. He did not know what kind of magical treasure it was. Why was it able to make the purple Chi Dharma spirit sense it? The Leech King said greedily, "Master, why don't we take the magical treasure? From the looks of it, it will be difficult for that woman to get the magical treasure." Su Fong said in a low voice, "Let's see how it goes. I hope Shui Wuing and Huang Lingyao can get the magical treasure. If not, we will launch a sneak attack. With the purple Chi Dharma spirit, I can easily take the azure-sharp treasured sword. I can't let the magical treasure fall into the hands of the Yuanjin sacred land. Let Rakshasa take action. It will definitely be able to deal with those powerhouses." The Rakshasa Jade Vase origin spirit appeared in his divine aperture. Indeed, the Rakshasa Jade Vase origin spirit was not at the level of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, but it was a perfect royal-grade magical treasure. If it was fully activated with the power of the royal-grade magical treasure, it could indeed entangle those powerhouses and allow Su Fong to take the sword. Clang! 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 Both sides were competing in magical treasures. For magical treasures were suppressing a needle-shaped magical treasure. It could be said that their momentum was overbearing. They looked like they wanted to crush the needle-shaped magical treasure in a short period of time. Not only were the four powerhouses sweating and gasping for breath, but even Shui Wuing's skin was covered in sweat. It looked like they were competing in magical treasures, but it was actually a competition of magical power and true qi. Whoever had more energy would be able to last longer. Hazy Bell for kill formation. Half an hour later, the four powerhouses poured a large amount of their true qi into the center and merged it with the Xianguang. The four-kill formation suddenly condensed into a huge bell. Suddenly, Shui Wuing was shocked. The Hazy Bell, isn't this one of the Yuanjin sacred lands' magical treasures? You are quite knowledgeable. Yes, this is the Hazy Bell, one of the strongest magical treasures in our sect. It has reached the peak of the royal grade. Your needle-shaped magical treasure has just reached the high grade. Let's see how you will be suppressed this time. Boom! The Hazy Bell turned out to be a magical treasure. It was just a peerless magical treasure that needed the four powerhouses to activate. Shui Wuing is in danger. Seeing the Hazy Bell, Xian Huang and Rakshasa Jade Vase Origin Spirit recognized the power and extraordinariness of the bell. How could Shui Wuing face the four powerhouses? Whoosh! Unexpectedly, a bolt of cyan lightning sword qi suddenly appeared and floated in front of Shui Wuing. How did she get a magical treasure? When the vastness bell came crashing down, the four top experts were completely shocked. It was the Azure Sharp Sword from before. The Azure Sharp Sword had already formed a streak of cyan sword qi that emitted a multicolored crystalline light. Was it a sword? It definitely wasn't a sword. It was a magical treasure that had reached the peak of the royal grade. Yunxiao's lightning sword, good sword. You finally acknowledged me. Shui Wuing stared at the cyan sword qi, his eyes moist. Master Leave, although this sword's aura isn't as strong as the Xinjia Gate, it's not far off. Leave, once it explodes, the sword qi will be enough to kill everything within 10,000 meters of water. Chapter 389. Xianwang's Six Paths Pagoda suddenly reminded Su Fong. Yes, let's leave. That's definitely a peerless Dao item. I've seen a few Dao items before, but none of them were even 1/10,000th of that sword. Even Rakshasa, Yu Qingping's voice was panicked. Yunxiao lightning sword since the two Dharma treasures had said so. King Leech received the order and quickly fled into the depths of the algae forest. He disappeared with a few rustling sounds. Hand over that Dharma treasure. Otherwise, the Yuanjin sacred land won't give you any chance to establish yourself in the Jingluo water region. The square-faced man also seemed to feel how terrifying Yunxiao's thunder sword was. He shouted, "Once this immortal sword explodes, the Wu-Ten world will be alerted. At that time, the 8 forces will trample over the Jingluo water region. Can you protect the treasure? I'd rather die than live in dishonor. If I, Shui Wuing, were someone like you, I would have entered a major force long ago." Shui Wuing sensed the translucent and mysterious cloud sky lightning sword in front of him. You forced me into a corner, so I'll let you have a taste of my cloud sky lightning sword's power. I'll use your blood as a sacrifice for the first sword. Retreat and use your defenses. Seeing Shui Wuing so unyielding, the experts of the Yuanjin sacred land finally let go. The square-faced man and the other 3 experts retreated and condensed the vast bell into a giant bell-shaped divine ability. The real vast bell was sucked into the expert's palm. Suppress. They retreated 1,000 meters. The 4 experts urged their Dharma power together, and the bell-shaped divine ability suddenly pressed down. Go! Shui Wuing began to walk on the waves. The giant bell in front of her was like a demon that wanted to crush her. Qi, Yunxiao's lightning sword, which was like a galaxy, suddenly rose up. It flashed with a sparkling green light in the water. It was still a long distance away from the bell, so Yunxiao lightning sword just casually slashed. Chi! Another thunderous sound reverberated. Yunxiao's lightning sword was still floating in the air, but the big bell in front of it was immediately split in two by the green lightning. It then slashed towards the four experts. Boom! The four experts had already used their Dharma treasures to form a defense. However, the sharpness of the first sword of Yunxiao's lightning sword was something that mortal cultivators would never be able to imagine. For magic treasures stood in front of the expert, but when the strange green lightning struck, they were instantly shattered. These were two royal-grade magic artifacts and two high-grade magic treasures. In the instant of the explosion, the eyes of the four experts widened, and their fleshly bodies exploded, transforming into mists of blood. One sword first. He broke the bell's divine ability, then the four magic treasures, followed by the four experts. Between breaths, the four catastrophe realm powerhouses, along with their magic treasure fragments, fused into the blood mist before being swallowed up by the surging river water. The deep waters within 1,000 meters, or even further away, seemed to have fallen into silence. With a whoosh, the seaweed forest mountain range was directly flattened by the remaining power of Yunxiao's thunder sword. Even the river water in the deep water space was divided into two. Terrifying sword, chi, and magic treasure. Boom! Under the rumbling pagoda mountain, rocks were overturned as the Leech King flew out in a sorry state. Fortunately, it was hidden far away, but Su Fong, who was still in a state of shock, looked at the mountain range that still existed before, but now, only a flat, smooth surface of the mountain range was left. Where's the never-ending bell? Where are the magic treasures? Empty bag? In the silence, Shui Wuying came to the blood mist. After searching for a while, she was very disappointed and surprised. Yunxiao's thunder sword actually shattered all the magic treasures and materials that the four of them carried with them. Sister, Shui Wuying suddenly turned around. At this moment, Su Fong was greatly shocked. Why? He finally knew why Shui Wuying was called Wuying. She actually flew in the deep water world without using any barriers or seals, as if she was in the natural air. Her speed was so fast that only afterimages were left. This was not a movement technique, nor was it a divine ability. Could it be that the physique mentioned by the Yuanjin sacred land is the reason why she can move freely in the water space? Su Fong ordered the Leech King to quietly follow behind her. He was still very interested in Shui Wuying's ability and Huang Lingyao's strength. Moments later, a large number of waves hit the air. It turned out that the three Calamity Realm giants were intercepting Shui Wuying. Not far away, Huang Lingyao was not injured at all. She was competing with the Dali Demon and another Calamity Realm expert. Huang Lingyao used a blue sword, which was also a king-grade magic treasure. Its quality was not outstanding, but it was enough to fight with the two experts. It seemed that the five experts still did not know what happened before. If they knew that Shui Wuying killed the four experts of the Yuanjin sacred land in an instant, they would have fled. Sister, Huang Lingyao was on the other side. Under the explosive sword chi domain, she shook off the encirclement of the two experts. As for Shui Wuying, she quickly rushed to join them. The two sisters were surrounded by the five experts. I've already got the treasure. Sister, these five can't be left alive. I'll use Yunxiao's thunder sword to get rid of them. Such an immortal treasure is very magical. With just a thought, it can explode thunder sword chi. It's invincible. Even the Yuanjin sacred land's vast bell was shattered. Indeed, we can't leave them alive. Our secret can't be known by outsiders. The two women had the same cold, killing intent. Chi, unbeknownst to them, an arrow suddenly split in two and shot toward Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuying. The Dali Devil was very proud. He was no stranger to arrows. Haha, the Yunjin Sacred Lands experts are coming to help. Everyone get ready. The two arrows were still shockingly fast. In less than 2 breaths, they would cross 1,000 meters and kill the two women. Huang Lingyao focused. What a powerful divine ability. This person's cultivation base should be at the 9th transformation, life-seizing realm. That's quite shocking. Shui Wuing stepped forward. This is the Yuanjin Sacred Lands Flying God Arrow. It's a powerful offensive divine ability. It's similar to your immortal sealing sex, Little Yellow's heavenly god astral energy. Especially in the hands of a powerhouse, it can kill people even more easily. Sister, I'll do it. Part of this divine ability's power has already been suppressed by the water world. You want to kill us with this? As expected of a venerated Tao disciple. Divine image ruler heaven. In the blink of an eye, the two arrows were less than 10 meters away from the two women. A powerful divine might merged with the surrounding water. At this moment, Huang Lingyao felt like Shui Wuing could control the water world at will. Whoosh! What looked like a splash of water suddenly condensed two ice swords in front of Huang Lingyao. Just as the two arrows were about to attack, the ice swords were like needles against wheat. Everything turned into a circular wave of upstanding qi under the collision of the two divine powers. The shockwave forced Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuing to retreat 10 feet away. The 5 masters around them, who were led by the devils of Dali, had to retreat with the upstanding qi. Who are you? How can you withstand my attack? At some point in time, a silhouette suddenly appeared, treading on the waves and arriving. It was an old man in a gray Taoist robe. Not only did he have white hair, but he also had a goatee that was a foot long. The old man gave people a feeling that he had transcended the mortal world and achieved great success. He had an ethereal aura like an immortal. Elder, you came at the right time. The Dali devil led the 4 experts to greet the old man. Yuanjin's Sacred Lands Elder, this was a force whose power was only below the leader. They had the power to kill. The old man stared at Shui Wuing. You ungrateful pirate, you dared to kill my sect's 4 calamity disciples. Hand over the vast bell, and I'll consider letting you go. If you don't know what's good for you, you'll all die here today. Of course, you can also join my Yuanjin Holy Lands, and we'll pretend nothing happened. You can even become honorary elders of my sect. An elder also came. This person's strength is not as strong as Yuezhan Exalted, but he is not far behind. What a powerful giant. He must be a giant whose name shakes the Wu-Tan field. In the depths of the darkness, 1,000 meters away, Su Fong was staring at the fierce battle in front of him. Shui Wuing said coldly, I may not give you the vast bell. Why? The old man did not understand. This treasure from your Yuanjin Sacred Land has been destroyed by my sword along with the 4 disciples. Next, you and these 4 filthy bastards will all die by my sword. I don't care if you're an elder or not, but you need to think this through. If you really want to fight me, not even the vast bell can trap me. Can you? Shui Wuing's attitude was very tough when facing an elder. Immediately, the old man's face turned pale, as if he had been slapped by an invisible force. Previously, he thought that he was an elder and could suppress Shui Wuing. Who would have thought that although the other party was a woman, she did not put him in her eyes at all? Everyone used the heavenly law to suppress Shui Wuing. The old man gave an order. Heavenly law, without giving Shui Wuing time to prepare, a change that even the Dali devil and the others did not expect immediately exploded. It was as if there was a giant on the surface of the water, stirring up the deep water space with his hands. A whirlpool suddenly formed around and above them. It should be known that this place was almost 10,000 meters below the surface of the water. What kind of power could shake such a natural world? Shui Wuing and Huang Lingyao's expressions changed. The whirlpool projected a dazzling sunlight down, and 3 divine suns could be faintly seen. Boom! An invisible oppressive force pressed down from above the vortex. The old man was nowhere to be seen. The demon of Dali and the 4 warriors beside him were instantly crushed into dust by the tremendous force. 5 catastrophe realm experts were instantly killed just like that. It should be a catastrophe realm expert using a spatial ability. Run! Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuing did not have time to be afraid. While they were still 100 meters away, they immediately flew toward the deep water. However, a terrifying water barrier shook the 2 women back. It turned out that the water where the whirlpool was located was controlled by the experts of the Yuanjin Sacred Land. In other words, the two women were trapped in the water formation and could not leave. This is not good. Su Fong saw the water turning into a giant whirlpool and could only be stunned. That was a forbidden area that he could not take half a step into. Life and death struggle. Sister. Shui Wuying grabbed the azure lightning sword. Huang Lingyao's hands hit Shui Wuying's back, and her true qi flowed into Shui Wuying's body. Lightning sword qi. Facing the absolute oppressive death power, Shui Wuying grabbed the lightning sword and bit her thick lips. The moment a drop of sweat fell, she slashed out a dazzling azure lightning sword qi. That azure lotus sword qi slashed into the center of the whirlpool. Even so, the remaining power of controlling the water still hit the two women and fiercely swallowed them. On the surface of the water, a bottomless whirlpool with a diameter of 10,000 meters was like a demon stirring the water. A dozen catastrophe realm experts floated around it, and the elder floated in the center. They were forming seals to control the water below. Qi. A azure lightning suddenly cut open the whirlpool from bottom, forming a huge azure lightning sword qi that suddenly shook the whirlpool and the dozen Yuanjin Sacred Land experts. Moreover, this azure lightning pierced the 9 heavens, turning the clouds in the sky of the Wutan world into a large area of blue clouds. Chapter 390. Most of the clouds in the Wutan world had turned into blue clouds and released some lightning. Especially above the Jingluo water domain, it was completely covered in blue light. PFFF. Water surfaced the whirlpool had turned into waves. Everything was disappearing, forming irregular waves on the surface of the water. A white-robed old man with a head full of white hair was almost torn apart. He spat out blood again and again. What kind of Tao artifact is that? My Yuanjin Sacred Land also has Tao artifacts, but its power is not at such a level. Shui Wuying is able to use the Tao artifact to such an extent. As an elder, the old man looked around in disbelief. More than a dozen giants of the Yuanjin Sacred Land had died under the power of the Cloud Lightning Sword. They were all undying Calamity Realm giants. They were the pillars of the Yuanjin Sacred Land. Shui Wuying, my Yuanjin Sacred Land will not let you go. The old man immediately released a rune talisman. Soon after, the rune talisman broke and a mysterious door appeared. Whoosh! Dozens of experts flew over, all of them Calamity Realm. As expected of a major force, they rushed out and protected the elder. After a short discussion, they flew into the water, 10,000 meters deep. This sword released sword qi directly into the sky and through the water. The sword qi is still so domineering. Within the Leech King, Su Fong's face was covered in sweat. Cloud Lightning Sword. His mind was filled with the scene of that peerless sword. Even Xianwang's Six Paths Pagoda and Rakshasa Yu Chongping could not display such power. He looked at the whirlpool that had disappeared. The deep water world had returned to silence. There was no one there. When Shui Wuying used the Cloud Lightning Sword, she and Huang Lingyao were submerged and swallowed by the power of the Yuanjin Sacred Land. Did they die together? Both sides were injured. Taking a closer look, he could see through 1,000 meters of water, but he could not see any corpses. Impossible, because the Cloud Lightning Sword would not disappear. It was impossible for such a Tao artifact to be destroyed by the Yuanjin Sacred Land. There was only one explanation. The Cloud Lightning Sword was hidden in Shui Wuying's body, and she and Huang Lingyao had left the deep water. Qi, the Leech King, no longer hid and flew out. Su Fong wanted to leave this place. This trip was not in vain. Buzzed, just not far from his hiding place, he passed through the water in midair. Suddenly, a buzzing sound came from his right arm. It was another familiar movement. Su Fong had a bad feeling. It was as if someone was staring at him in the empty waters. Hua! Hua! While he was hesitating and feeling uneasy, pieces of blood suddenly flew up from the surrounding waters like flying cotton. This water monster is not simple. It can even cause Yun Xiao's lightning sword to react. A large amount of blood flakes appeared from the river and gathered. Shui Wuying's cold voice sounded from the blood piece. Su Fong was so scared that his hair stood on end. They really are fine, but I'm in trouble. Could it be that Yun Xiao's thunder sword has discovered the purple Qi Dharma spirit in my body? Qi the Leech King understood and immediately fled into the depths of the water. The large amount of blood, fragments, gradually formed two human figures, as if they were torn apart and then pieced together. They quickly regained their perfect human figures. They were Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuying. What kind of ability is this? Could it be the desolate physique? That's right. Huang Lingyao has the supreme desolate physique, and the desolate physique is 1 in a million. In the entire Zhuotian domain, I only know that the immortal sealing sect has 2 desolate physiques. It seems like this is the reason why Huang Lingyao is so strong and can move unhindered in the water. However, this ability is too terrifying. The Leech King, who was escaping, shot a glance behind, causing Su Fong to shiver. Sister, the Yuanjin Sacred Ground has many experts. Let's leave. Even if we have Yun Xiao's lightning sword, we won't be able to control it. The two girls locked their gazes in the direction that the Leech King was swimming. Huang Lingyao advised. Shui Wuying's eyes were filled with determination. We cannot leave behind any hidden dangers. Furthermore, Yun Xiao's lightning sword told me that the leech monster seems to have shocking treasure in its body. I have obtained Yun Xiao's lightning sword. Sister, you also have to obtain a heaven-defying treasure. You didn't follow the plan and obtain Wu Tan Domain's Xinjia Gate. There really is a treasure in the Leech King's body. That's what Yun Xiao's lightning sword told me. You still don't know how powerful Yun Xiao's lightning sword is. This Dao item is famous even in the great world. Sister, you were able to obtain its approval because of your special physique. That's why its words can't be wrong. Chase. The two girls immediately flew as if they were flying naturally. Their speed was shocking. Not long after they left, experts with killing auras suddenly appeared in the water above them. They should be the Yuanjin Sacred Grounds experts. Master, not good. Those two girls are chasing us. They flew 10,000 meters away. Su Fong felt much more at ease. At least, she didn't see any movement in the surroundings. Unexpectedly, the Leech King's huge heart suddenly started beating like thunder. Su Fong was startled and focused. They're chasing us. Even if she didn't use her great perfection ability, she could still clearly see Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuying chasing after them. Their speed was just too fast. They weren't any slower than the Leech King. After all, this was the water world where the Leech King reigned supreme. Desolate physique. So this is the desolate physique. No wonder Huang Lingyao was able to become the immortal Sealing Gate's disciple. She really is an incredible person. She quickly had the Leech King flee deeper into the water. No matter what, she had to escape. However, Su Fong didn't understand why they were chasing after them. Could it be that they had discovered something? You Leech King, where do you think you're going? Divine Image Cold Region. Go! Shui Wuying suddenly shouted. Su Fong felt his entire body turn cold. The Leech King was suddenly flipped over. Shui Wuying's afterimage was blocking the water in front of it. Furthermore, her palm was filled with a surging calamity realm aura. The Leech King was unable to resist. In front of a calamity realm powerhouse with a special ability, the Leech King had lost his advantage. His strength was also incomparable. He could only accept death. However, when tried to flee in another direction, Huang Lingyao's afterimage was like a net that covered it. Looking at Shui Wuying, the Leech King was trembling in fear. Su Fong wasn't afraid. However, he realized that Shui Wuying and Huang Lingyao's abilities and techniques were very similar. Shui Wuying swept her gaze over the Leech King. Water monster, spit out the treasure in your body. Treasure? Su Fong didn't understand. What kind of treasure did the Leech King have? Sister, just kill it. This kind of big goblin runs rampant in the water world. Who knows how many cultivators it has killed? Huang Lingyao displayed the decisiveness of a sovereign Tao disciple. Shui Wuying nodded. Since the water monster isn't obedient, then just kill it. Wait a moment. Su Fong was truly anxious now. He hastily shouted into the Leech King's stomach. Oh! Shui Wuying and Huang Lingyao were both shocked. That was because the voice they heard didn't belong to a water monster, but a human. Ladies, I'm a human. I'm just hiding in the water monster's stomach to search for treasures. Don't misunderstand. Don't misunderstand. The Leech King quickly opened its mouth and spat out Su Fong. The scene was a bit disgusting, causing the two girls to take a few steps back. Su Fong tidied up his disgusting and smelly saliva. At this time, Huang Lingyao was sizing him up. She didn't recognize that Su Fong was the celestial sealing sex Fong Yu. Shui Wuying's eyes shone brightly. So the treasure is on you. The aura of a catastrophe realm cultivator transformed into a restrictive force. After the eyes exploded, it enveloped and trapped Su Fong with the speed of a clap of thunder. Shui Wuying said, "Hand over the treasure, and then I'll cripple your cultivation. However, I'll give you longevity resources. Of course, you can also choose to submit to me and become my subordinate. You'd better make a choice. We're not from the evil path, but we won't let go of any treasures." Huang Lingyao continued, "I don't have any treasures on me. I'm just an ordinary cultivator in the undying first layer. If I had any treasures, would I end up like this?" Play dumb. He couldn't be stubborn at this time. "Really? Do you think we'll believe you if you quibble like this? My Cloud Sky Thunder Sword already sensed that you have treasures on you. Do you really want me to kill you?" Shui Wuying was furious. Cloud Sky Thunder Sword. Could it be that the purple Chi Dharma spirit could sense the Cloud Sky Thunder Sword, and then at a close distance, the Cloud Sky Thunder Sword could also sense the purple Chi Dharma spirit? Shui Wuying wanted the purple Chi Dharma spirit. "You two, you can't kill me, especially..." Su Fong recovered his usual calmness and saluted Huang Lingyao. "Especially senior sister, you can't kill me." Senior sister. Shui Wuying was startled. Huang Lingyao was originally indifferent, but after hearing this, her deep eyes were full of shock. "What do you mean? Senior sister, do you know who I am?" Su Fong was extremely quiet. "I hope senior sister won't kill me. I really have no other choice. In terms of strength, if I have a mind, you will kill me immediately. In terms of intelligence, I've been a cultivator for a very short time, and I can't compare. Since I have no choice, I hope my other identity can give senior sister a reason not to kill me." "Identity? Who are you? Do you really know who I am?" Huang Lingyao was confused. Could it be that in this Wu Tan world, in this Jingluo water, someone would recognize her by coincidence? "You too, please calm down, you must calm down." Su Fong immediately made a seal and used the bone-shifting technique. His appearance and figure began to change, and there was a creaking sound in his body. At this moment, after seeing Su Fong's appearance, Huang Lingyao's eyes rolled. You are Fong Yu." Su Fong saluted. "Senior sister Huang, it's me." Immortal Sealing Sex disciple Shui Wuying also saw that from Su Fong's transformation, there was the aura of 7 magical powers in his body. "You." Huang Lingyao still couldn't believe it. She was surprised, puzzled, and puzzled. You didn't enter the Xinjia Gate? Did you come out again?" "My luck is good. After entering the Xinjia Gate, I hid in a magic treasure space, so Prince Shui chased into the Xinjia Gate and couldn't detect my aura. I stayed inside for a while and met an old senior. Finally, with the help of that senior, I left the Xinjia Gate. You were in the immortal realm at that time, right? But in just a few years, you actually reached the undead first layer and escaped from the outer space of the Xinjia Gate." Huang Lingyao couldn't figure out, but there was only one explanation. Su Fong could come out alive because he only entered the first layer of the Xinjia Gate. He didn't enter the second layer or deeper space. If he entered the second layer, it was impossible for Su Fong to come out alive. Su Fong saluted again. Disciple narrowly escaped death. "First, I was chased by Prince Shui. Then I was able to escape from the Xinjia Gate. It was really not easy. Disciple can never forget that when Prince Shui wanted to kill me, it was you, senior sister, who stood up step by step. In other words, Disciple can live until now because of senior sister's help. It can be said that without senior sister, I wouldn't be here now. You are really Fang Yu. Huang Lingyao was startled. She still didn't believe it. After all, in a few years, a disciple that she almost forgot suddenly appeared in front of her, and he even escaped from the Xinjia Gate. Chapter 391. Disciple is Fang Yu. Senior sister can just take a look. In the presence of Huang Lingyao and Shui Wuying's sword, Qi surged out. It was the great overarching heavenly sword Qi. Then it was the heaven-conquering divine steps. After using 2 divine abilities and then releasing the essence aura of the House of Immortality, Huang Lingyao was convinced that Su Fang was Fang Yu. But Huang Lingyao didn't believe him so easily. She also had a lot of doubts. She seemed to have realized something. That should have been your real body. Fang Yu's face was something you transformed into. Why did you deliberately hide your identity when you entered the Celestial Sealing Sect? Su Fang explained, Disciple also has his own difficulties. The Celestial Sealing Sect is incomparably powerful and complicated. Disciple also wants to protect himself and have a way out. That's why I chose to hide my identity. However, I later learned that if I want to become a core disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect, I will have to undergo an inspection in the future. I'm afraid that when the time comes, I won't be able to continue cultivating with this appearance. Sister, Huang Lingyao condensed a ray of light towards Shui Wuying and signaled Su Fang to wait on the spot. The 2 women flashed to a kilometer away. Although Huang Lingyao had saved him before, he wasn't familiar with her after all, so he couldn't trust her easily. We can't kill this person, sister. We're both disciples of the Celestial Sealing School. Little sister, you've been in the Celestial Sealing School for 1,000 years. Could it be that you don't want the treasures on an ordinary disciple? Big sister, there's something you don't know. Right now, I'm competing with Prince Shui and Sheng Changsheng for the position of future sect leader of the Celestial Bestowal Sect. Over the past 100 years, there have been many competitions. As for Prince Shui, I'm sure you're well aware that he killed a Celestial Bestowal Sect disciple in the Wutan realm. This news spread quickly, so of course I know about it. Even though I've never met Prince Shui before, with my sister's constitution, there's no way for her to surpass him. He definitely has world-shocking abilities, but what does that have to do with that disciple called Fang Yu? Fang Yu is a genius. He resolutely opposed Prince Shui's invitation. Not long ago, he openly argued with Prince Shui at the Xinjia Gate. He was almost killed by Prince Shui. Fortunately, I stepped in and saved his life. However, this guy is too bold. He dared to fall out with Prince Shui and defend a venerable Doubt disciple with the cultivation of a mortal realm. He wanted to escape in the Xinjia Gate so that Prince Shui couldn't chase after him. Such brains, courage, and wisdom. That's why I couldn't kill him. Moreover, he was able to come out of the Xinjia Gate alive. It's really out of my expectations. The Xinjia Gate is famous throughout the small worlds. Being able to come out alive means that he's quite capable. So he really is a genius. I understand. Since he's Prince Shui's enemy, then he's your friend. What do you think? I want to train him and have him help me deal with Prince Shui and Sheng Changsheng. When he grows up, he can also support me to become the future leader of the sect. Maybe I think that he's an immortal realm disciple and can't reach the heights I'm expecting. But think about it. In just a few years, he went from a mortal realm to a mortal realm. He can also leave the Xinjia Gate and dare to fight with Prince Shui. Doesn't that explain a lot? But he has a strange treasure on him. If you get a strange treasure, you'll also have strength. What if I can't fuse with the strange treasure? Just like Yunxiao's lightning sword, it's completely a matter of chance and luck. Strange treasures choose their masters. Sister, let him live. Think about it. His path really hasn't been easy. He's gone through a lot of hardships. And there's one thing that you'll definitely be interested in. 10 years ago, he publicly challenged Prince Shui in the Xinjia Gate. 10 years later, he'll challenge Prince Shui in the immortal sealing gate. If he doesn't die, then Prince Shui will die. Sister, don't tell me you're not looking forward to the result of this challenge in a few years. Challenging Prince Shui is good. I'm really curious. If he succeeds, he can get rid of Prince Shui for you. Even if he can't kill Prince Shui, his influence will be affected. Thank you, sister. Under the gaze of a great perfection paragon, Huang Lingyao was bowing to Shui Wuing. Su Fong retracted his power. His heart calmed down, and he could finally breathe comfortably. Not only would Huang Lingyao not kill him, but she also wanted to train him. In the future, he would help her fight against the two venerable Dao disciples in the immortal sealing gate. Didn't this coincide with his thoughts? Both sides took what they needed. In the end, Su Fong could get rid of Prince Shui. Then, if Huang Lingyao could become the future sect master, it would be even more beneficial for Su Fong. Although Huang Lingyao wanted to use him, how could Su Fong not understand? He couldn't think that Huang Lingyao was an innocent girl and use her kindness to stop Shui Wuing from killing him. There was no free lunch in this world, and there were no kind people. There were only people who would turn good people into bad people and vice versa for benefits. Fongyu. The two girls flew over. Shui Wuing was no longer cold, but full of killing intent. Under Huang Lingyao's signal, the three of them quickly left the water area. The Leech King was sucked into Su Fong's profound yellow space. When they flew out of the water, the two girls changed their clothes and just happened to meet a large number of cultivators flying towards the depths of the Jingluo water area. These people must have come for the Cloud Sky Thundersword. The three of them floated in the clouds and sensed many cultivators. Huang Lingyao whispered, "Sister, you have to use the Cloud Sky Thundersword less in the future. And from now on, you can no longer stay in the Jingluo water area. The various forces will not give up on the sword. They will search for you all over the Wutan world. Although I don't put those forces in my eyes, my cultivation hasn't reached the peak. I still need many years of cultivation. Without strength, I can't protect the sword. Only by becoming stronger can I control the sword. Right now, the sword in front of me is like a huge mountain that can't be shaken. I will think about it carefully during this time." After that, Su Fong followed the two girls away from the Jingluo water area. When they returned to the city, they went to Shui Wuing's shop and went to a private room with Huang Lingyao. After sitting quietly for a while and tasting tea, Huang Lingyao finally said, "Your real name is also Fongyu." "No." Su Fong honestly said her name. Huang Lingyao glanced at her. "Su Fong, Prince Shui. Do you hate him?" The latter didn't hesitate. "Of course I do. In front of 100,000 disciples, he took away the rainbow soul absorbing bell and the wind and fire dual spirit sword from me. He stripped me of countless resources. Those were all resources I obtained by myself. He even cut off my left arm. He wants me, Su Fong, to be a cripple for the rest of my life. Because I intercepted Prince Shui to harm you, I have officially become enemies with Prince Shui. After what happened to you, the Crown Prince faction in the Celestial Sealing Sect is now against my Fragrant Jade faction. Prince Shui has indeed gone too far. You left the Xinjiang Gate alive and reached the Undead Realm. Although the change is fast, even if you reach the Yang Soul Realm, you're still not Prince Shui's match. How confident are you that you can reach the same level as Prince Shui in the remaining years?" "Actually, I'm not confident. But I've been working hard for the past few years, and I've clearly benefited. Even if I'm not confident, I'll continue working hard. In a way, Prince Shui is our common enemy. I saved you from him, so I'm his enemy. The Crown Prince faction is getting stronger and stronger. When you return to the Celestial Sealing Sect in a few years, they'll probably come knocking on your door before you even have a chance to fight with Prince Shui. What I'm trying to say is that you have to borrow my power to fight the Crown Prince faction. Only then will you have a chance to focus on fighting Prince Shui. Disciple already caused you to become Prince Shui's enemy. Don't tell me you want me to do it again. That's nothing. Prince Shui has always been very arrogant. He acquired the legacy of an immortal and has the power of an immortal backing him. His cultivation base is constantly rising. Back when the Spirit Immortal sect came knocking on our door, it was because they feared the power of the immortal backing Prince Shui, and not the celestial sealing sect. Now that we're enemies, the only way to get rid of him is to get rid of him. Don't you agree? Su Fong rose to his feet and clasped hands. Many thanks for your help, elder sister. With your help, Disciple will have a much better chance of defeating Prince Shui. In the future, you and I will still be strangers in the celestial sealing sect. We can only communicate in secret. If the Crown Prince Society makes any moves, I'll secretly inform you. For example, I'll have Seoul notify you. In any case, you won't have to worry about the Crown Prince Society causing trouble for you. Huang Lingyao took another sip of the fragrant tea, and a bright smile gradually appeared on her face. You're now in the undead first layer, and there's still a long way to go before Prince Shui. However, your physical body gives off a very different feeling, and I can't see through your strength. Plus, you have a strange treasure, so I believe that you'll be able to defeat Prince Shui in the future. If you need any help, just ask. Only when you're strong can you and I work together to deal with Prince Shui. Otherwise, with his means, if you and I fall into his hands one day, it will be very miserable, and we won't be able to live or die. Disciple needs profound yellow stone, primal jade stone, and other strange treasures. In the future, I'll use them to fight Prince Shui. Even if he has the power of an immortal, I have my own treasures. I won't be defeated. All right, I'll help you find those 2 treasures. But there's one more thing. You have to keep my relationship with Shui Wuing a secret. Huang Lingyao reminded him and left the room. She thinks I don't know that she and Shui Wuing are sisters. Su Fong let out a sigh of relief and quickly checked the true devil blood plate. This time, it had suppressed 17 Yang Soul experts and 3 water demons. Adding on the 64 junior commanders from before, Su Fong now had 67 junior commanders. Whoosh. After a while, a young woman in a blue robe suddenly entered the room. Senior Apprentice Sister Lan. Su Fong immediately bowed. So was Lan Haicheng. Fong Yu, is it really you? Lan Haicheng was bewildered. He exclaimed and then shook his head. Su Fong said from the bottom of his heart, I have to thank you, Senior Apprentice Sister. Back at Xinjia Gate, Senior Apprentice Sister Huang was able to stop Prince Shui for no reason. I don't have any relationship with Senior Apprentice Sister Huang. If it weren't for Senior Apprentice Sister Huang, Disciple would have been crippled by Prince Shui, unable to cultivate. You saved Ruru and Bixin, so I naturally have to return the favor. That's nothing. In truth, Senior Apprentice Sister saved you because of your potential, courage, and wits. That matter is over. Prince Shui is arrogant and doesn't put anyone in his eyes. If he wants resources, he has resources. If he wants women, he has women. He could do whatever he wants in the celestial sealing sect. I hope someone can pull him down from his pedestal. Otherwise, once he grows up, who knows how many senior apprentice sisters and junior apprentice sisters will become his pet. Prince Shui is the greatest humiliation I, Su Fong, have ever suffered in my life. I will definitely get it back from him. In the future, if there is me in the celestial sealing sect, then there will be him. If there is him, then there will be me. Although I don't know when that will happen. As long as I persevere, it will happen. The 2 of them sat down. Su Fong's aura swept through the room. Lan Haicheng could feel Su Fong's burning courage and fury. You don't need to be so formal. This isn't the celestial sealing sect. Lan Haicheng smiled gently. At this moment, the air in the room seemed to freeze. Chapter 392. Lan Haicheng's smile, indeed, made Su Fong's impression of the disciples from the celestial sealing sect disappear in an instant. Celestial sealing sect, he was an immortal disciple, so he was nothing. But Lan Haicheng was high and mighty, an existence that the immortal disciples could never touch. You guys have a lot to talk about. At this time, Huang Lingyao entered the room. Senior sister. The 2 immediately got up to greet her. Huang Lingyao spread out her hand, and dozens of gems flew out from her palm. Su Fong, I try to find a dozen mysterious yellow stones and dozens of primordial jade stones for you, but that's all I have. It turns out that mysterious yellow stones are very rare. I heard that in the legendary mysterious yellow world, only there are a large number of mysterious yellow stones there. Thank you, senior sister. These gems are not cheap. Su Fong hurriedly thanked her. Take it as a gift from me. This amount of money is nothing to me. I can help you a little. Huang Lingyao sat down, waved her hand, and looked at Lan Haicheng, who had just sat down. I see that you and Su Fong are chatting very well. I promised Su Fong to help him improve his cultivation. There's still a few years left. Why don't you cultivate with him? You can have a companion. This. Lan Haicheng was surprised and looked at Su Fong, very embarrassed. Senior sister. Su Fong immediately spoke, but Huang Lingyao waved her hand to stop him. Although you have a foundation, your strength is limited after all. Haicheng came with me to the Wutan realm this time, just to relax. There's nothing important. I promise to help you cultivate, so let Haicheng accompany you in these few years. The aura of a venerable Dao disciple directly cast a terrible pressure on Su Fong. This pressure was invisibly telling Su Fong that a venerable Dao disciple meant what she said, and he, an immortal disciple, was not allowed to say no. Lan Haicheng recovered his calmness. Yes, then junior sister will cultivate with junior brother in the Wutan realm. Huang Lingyao said, you have to protect Su Fong well. In the future, we have to work together to deal with Prince Shui. We can't let anything go wrong halfway. Su Fong, what's your next plan? Su Fong nodded. Disciple wants to go to a distant border or a foreign land to cultivate. I want to find some spiritual items and increase my strength through experience. All right, then prepare yourself. You don't have much time. He then stood up and led Lan Haicheng out of the room. Su Fong immediately used his great perfection ability to see what Huang Lingyao was thinking. Senior apprentice sister, I don't understand why you want me to follow Su Fong. Su Fong is not simple. I want you to secretly pay attention to his every move at all times and understand everything about him. Since I, Huang Lingyao, want to use him, I want to fully control him. Haicheng, do you remember how you followed me to cultivate? Junior sister remembers. Back then, junior sister was still a temporary disciple who had just stepped into the immortal seeking peak. In the end, I was bullied by the official disciples and wanted Haicheng to be their pet. At the moment when I was in despair and wanted to commit suicide, it was senior sister who suddenly saved Haicheng and took care of her as your own sister. In just a short 1,000 years, you became a disciple of the catastrophe realm. Think about it. If Prince Shui surpasses me in the future and steps on my head, who will come to save me? Do you think I'll be as lucky as you were back then? Without strength and influence, then I won't have the power to say no. Dealing with Prince Shui and Sheng Changsheng is my current priority. You have to think of ways to help me complete my great cause. Perhaps it's wrong for you to follow Su Fong, but if he really grows up in the future and helps us deal with Prince Shui, then everything you do is equivalent to helping elder sister, my good sister. Huang Lingyao lifted Lan Haicheng up from the ground and said softly and earnestly, I didn't expect that Lan Haicheng, a disciple of the catastrophe realm, also experienced many hardships to achieve his current status and strength. After hearing everything in the dark, he suddenly recalled Lan Haicheng's smile. In fact, there was also bitterness hidden behind it. No one had an easy life in the world of cultivators. When he was a mortal, he often heard that immortals were free and unrestrained. They could ride immortal clouds and travel tens of thousands of miles. They were free and unfettered and could go anywhere. But which cultivator could be free and unfettered? Huang Lingyao is worthy of being the leader of the Fragrant Jade Party. On one hand, she wants me to assist her, but on the other hand, she wants to restrain and control me. In the end, on her way to success, I'm just a stepping stone. Even Lan Haicheng is the same. In his heart, he vaguely felt the horror of the 3 major parties and the 3 venerable Dao disciples. Huang Lingyao was like this, and Prince Shui and Sheng Changsheng were no exception. Lan Haicheng quickly returned to the room, but her expression was completely different from before. She was no longer as respectful as before. There was always an indescribable feeling. After resting for a while, Su Fong proposed to leave the shop. Lan Haicheng had no objection. After the two said goodbye to Huang Lingyao, they immediately flew out of the city. After a while, Lan Haicheng looked over with a serious gaze. "Where are you going?" Su Fong replied, as usual, first to the Green Lotus Sword sect, then to see a friend, and then to the Seven Stars Demon Island. If you want to go to the Seven Stars Demon Island, you have to go through the Green Lotus Sword sect's portal. Lan Haicheng curiously said, "The Seven Stars Demon Island is an extraterritorial land. I heard that very few people go there. It's a place where monsters live and is extremely dangerous. The more dangerous it is, the more you can improve yourself." After nodding, he sped up in the direction of the Green Lotus Sword sect. In less than 3 days, the two stepped into the territory of the Green Lotus Sword sect. Gu Shizhen personally came to greet them. In front of Lan Haicheng, he called Su Fong a friend. Originally, he wanted to go to the Moonset Mountain Range, but maybe Li Ziqing and the Lord of Five Poisons had already gone to the Seven Stars Demon Island. He immediately set off and stepped into the portal. I didn't expect a clan could create such a force. Coming to the Kubu clan, Lan Haicheng also stepped into the depths of the Wu-Tan realm for the first time. He was full of curiosity and cautious everywhere. There were more and more lakes, and the water area was wider. Seven Stars Demon Island. Lan Haicheng released the senses of a catastrophe realm powerhouse and flew side by side with Su Fong. Knowing that they were about to step into the Seven Stars Demon Island, she became even more careful. Su Fong secretly used his divine ability to sense Exalted Man Yuezhan and Li Ziqing as soon as possible. Buzz. Some Dao runes suddenly appeared in his mind. He thought that he sensed the two powerhouses, but it turned out that it was not. It was the Dao runes of the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique. What's going on? The Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique was extremely profound. Su Fong did not even understand the threshold, but one thing was clear. Once the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique sensed, it meant that someone was sensing his aura, or it was a sign from fate. Seven Stars Demon Island. Oh no, Bai Ling. In the sky above the Demon Island, the clouds were suddenly swept into a whirlwind. The whirlwind appeared out of nowhere, and it came suddenly and ferociously. Exalted Man Yuezhan instantly flew out from the island and threw out the illusion cloud rope, grabbing toward the whirlwind. In the eye of the whirlwind, there was actually a blurry white shadow. Unfortunately, the white shadow was swallowed by the whirlwind and disappeared without a trace. Gotcha! When the illusion cloud rope came into contact with the whirlwind, it instantly shattered. Exalted Man Yuezhan was shocked. Bai Ling and Master are like siblings. This is bad. Who knew that the whirlwind would suddenly descend from the sky? The sky returned to normal. There was no longer a whirlwind, only a few clouds. Exalted Man Yuezhan was anxious. After searching for a while, he frowned in another direction. Master! He quickly hid his aura and escaped into the clouds. After a while, Exalted Man Yuezhan transformed into another appearance. He became a middle-aged man and appeared in midair. At the same time, two figures appeared in front of him. Something happened to Bai Ling. Unexpectedly, Su Fong flew over and asked Exalted Man Yuezhan anxiously. Bai Ling used a strange stone to cultivate. During this period of time, she kept making breakthroughs. Previously, when she came out to cultivate her divine ability, she encountered a winged demon. When they were fighting, who knew that a whirlwind would suddenly descend from the sky and sweep her in? When I heard the call for help, I rushed over in less than a breath's time, but it was already too late. Look! Exalted Man Yuezhan handed the shattered illusion cloud rope to Su Fong. This illusion cloud rope, which was close to a high-grade magic treasure, was actually shattered by the whirlwind. Whirlwind! He recalled that the Black Fiend King had once introduced him to the Seven Stars Demon Island. The most terrifying thing was not the countless big goblin that could no longer control the power of the extraterrestrial realm. Instead, it was a terrifying whirlwind that could devour matter. He thought that it was very far away from him, but he did not expect it to suddenly appear like this, and in the depths of Bailing Mountain. Its power is so terrifying. It's probably Bailing. Exalted Man Yuezhan first glanced at Lan Haicheng. After being a little stunned, he nodded to Su Fong in shame. Lan Haicheng heard the general situation and said in a comforting tone, "The power of the extraterrestrial realm can only be controlled by cultivators. In such a dangerous place, we can only resign ourselves to fate." She did not see anything different about Exalted Man Yuezhan. The difference in their cultivation was too shocking. Su Fong felt very disappointed at this time. Other than his family, Bailing was the closest to him. From Tianmen Province to Crimson Firmament Continent, then to Wu Tan Domain. Green Feather King had an accident. Now even Bailing had died. "Many thanks." He gave Exalted Man Yuezhan a meaningful glance and secretly said a few words. Exalted Man Yuezhan then flew into the clouds. Su Fong did not want the secret here to be known by Lan Haicheng. If she knew where to refine pills, it was the same as letting Huang Lingyao know everything. Floating in the air, Lan Haicheng could not help but ask, "It seems you have been cultivating on 7-Star Demon Island. Could it be that something happened to someone very close to you?" "It's my sister, a white crane. She could be considered a spirit beast. She is not my mount, but a relative who has accompanied me to Wu Tan Domain." After Su Fong replied, he secretly communicated with Exalted Man Yuezhan. "Master, this subordinate doesn't know anything about the 7-Star Demon Island's revolving storm. It comes from nowhere and then quietly leaves. It's impossible to guard against." Exalted Yuezhan's thoughts came from the distant island. "Is there no way at all? I don't believe Sister Bai is so." Feeling powerless, Su Fong wished he could turn 7-Star Demon Island upside down, but he did not have the strength to do so. "Be brother." Suddenly, Su Fong, who was at his wits' end and lost in thought, heard a familiar voice. Someone was calling out to him. Even so, he could roughly hear the sound. Only Sister Bai could call out to him like this. Su Fong suddenly became spirited and looked around. Was it just his imagination? "Sister Bai." He exploded with the sound of thunder towards the vast sky above the clouds. His voice continued to spread, but there was no response. Lan Haicheng suddenly shouted, "Giving up on yourself like this will only mess up your state of mind." Su Fong shook his head. "I didn't give up on myself. Just now, I heard Sister Bai calling out to me. Although I didn't hear it clearly, it was real. That's right. You can face Prince Shui, so you shouldn't panic when encountering such a thing. You heard it, but I didn't hear anything at all. I'll sit down again and listen carefully." He immediately released his great perfection ability and sat down cross-legged. His body burned with a blazing life aura, and he used his pure yang energy to activate his great perfection ability. Lan Haicheng was skeptical. Although he didn't believe it, he still waited. After a while, the wind was blowing, but Su Fong was still sitting cross-legged. With his great perfection ability, Su Fong felt that he had penetrated the clouds at different heights on Demon Island. He could even hear the servants refining pills in the distance. Chapter 393. Su Fong was able to hear everything around him, including the heartbeat of Blue Sea City and the flow of true energy. "Brother, brother." Finally, he heard a familiar voice, but he was sure it was Bailing's voice. Although it was a little illusory this time, Su Fong felt that it was real. It also surprised him. It seemed that Bailing was around, like an invisible force cutting through space. They were very close, but he couldn't feel it. "Senior sister, please rest in the forest below for a while. I'll go see my friend. I'll be back soon." Su Fong got up and led Lan Haicheng into the forest. With this female expert around, many things would remain the same. Su Fong flew out of the island alone and flashed towards the demon island ahead. Exalted Cultivator Yuezhan had restored his old appearance and was waiting for Su Fong in the clouds. Beside him were two peerless experts, Li Zuqing and the Lord of Five Poisons. Especially the Lord of Five Poisons, he was getting younger and younger. He looked just 20 years old and was much stronger than Li Ziqing and exalted cultivator Yuezhen. For some reason, when he saw the Lord of Five Poisons, he thought that there was another person inside his body, the evil Divine Mother. He cupped his fist and saluted, "Seniors, thank you for coming here. We came from the Moonset Mountain Range and went to other foreign lands along the way. Only then did we come here with Sect Master." Exalted Cultivator Yuezhen said that the little demon by Ling disappeared. Li Ziqing nodded. "So Senior also knows about this. I heard that the whirlwind storm on this 7-star demon island can suck anything into the void. I don't know what kind of power it is, but Junior heard by Ling's voice several times. It seemed to be calling Junior from the surroundings. I was born and raised in the Wutan realm. In some ways, I can be considered an aboriginal. The 7-star demon clan has been here several times and has seen the power of the whirlwind storm with their own eyes. It's just that this extraterritorial place is very mysterious. It may not be as vast as other extraterritorial places and has more dangerous natural forces, but no one has ever been able to tell the truth." After Li Ziqing finished speaking, he immediately looked at the Lord of Five Poisons. "Sect Master, your cultivation time is several times longer than ours. What do you think? This is the first time I've come to 7-star Demon Island." The leader of the Five Venoms religion sect stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Having experienced the vicissitudes of life for tens of thousands of years, in his expression, there was only sedimentation. His gaze was like a murmuring stream. "Just now, I especially sense that the whirlwind storm and the 7 Stars Demon Island are an extremely strange place." As soon as he opened his mouth, Su Fong took a few steps forward, afraid to miss a single word. Li Ziqing and exalted Master Yuezhen both knew what kind of person the Lord of Five Poisons was. His cultivation, strength, and knowledge were all higher than theirs. The 7-star Demon Islands are arranged according to the Big Dipper in the depths of the Milky Way. It seems like the 7 islands are formed naturally, but I can still sense the aura of a formation. There is a divine power controlling the 7-star Demon Islands. It can be said that everything that happens on the 7-star Demon Islands can be man-made, but it can also be said to be a foreign land. Sect Master, could it be that there's a very powerful person here? It should be, but I can't sense any Yang soul aura. It's strange that I can't see through it. It can only mean that if the 7 Stars Demon Island is controlled by a man-made force, then that person is no longer a mortal, but an immortal. And there is an even more wonderful formation hidden in the 7 Stars Demon Island. Since the white crane little demon is still alive, it must have fallen into a formation space that we can't detect. After the Lord of Five Poisons analysis, exalted Master Yuezhen and Li Ziqing didn't have the slightest doubt. Man-made. This gave him a headache. If the whirlwind was controlled by a man-made force, then if the Lord of Five Poisons couldn't sense it, then was that person still human? Originally, they could sense the arrival of the 2 giants and get some help to rescue by Ling, but now it seemed that it was almost impossible. Seeing Su Fong silent, the 3 old antiques also sensed the 7 Stars Demon Island. It seemed that they still wanted to help Su Fong solve this problem. There should be a way. Exalted Master Yuezhen suddenly broke the silence. His words were like a life-saving straw for Su Fong. He also found that exalted Master Yuezhen and the 2 giants were talking about something. Exalted Master Yuezhen condensed his chi, and every word was carefully thought out. It seems that the 2 of you have also thought of it. Master, there's only one way, and that is to enter the whirlwind. Naturally, you can enter the formation with the whirlwind, but doing so is tantamount to suicide. That formation must be something that mortal realm cultivators can't break. Su Fong's whole body was filled with cold qi at this moment. Yes, exalted Master Yuezhen's method was indeed the only way at present. Let's try other methods. In short, we can't rush. The 7 Stars Demon Island is indeed not as simple as it seems on the surface. There must be a secret. Li Ziqing could be considered the one who understood Su Fong the most among the 3 giants. He walked forward and deliberately comforted him. The Sect Master has brought you a lot of resources this time. I hope you can properly manage your own forces in the Wu-Tan world. Many thanks, Senior. He immediately bowed to the Lord of Five Poisons. The Lord of Five Poisons didn't say anything. This was nothing. He let exalted Master Yuezhan receive the two giants and gave him control of the dozen or so young soul slaves suppressed this time. He also watched the slaves refine pills. They left the Demon Island and returned to the forest to meet with Lan Haichen. Because Bai Ling was in a predicament, Su Fong returned without saying a word and sat around the lawn with Lan Haichen. His thoughts kept sweeping, thinking about the words of the Lord of Five Poisons and Li Ziqing. He was not stupid. He understood the meaning of the three giants, although they didn't say it directly. They were powerless about Bai Ling. He hoped that Su Fong would also give up and not delay him because of this. He suddenly stood up. After being silent for a whole hour, he bowed to Lan Haichen. I'll have to trouble Senior's sister to wait here for a while. Maybe in short, if I don't come back within a year, Senior's sister can go back first. There's no need to wait for me. Lan Haicheng's bright eyes revealed a wisp of intelligence. Since Senior's sister asked me to help you cultivate, I naturally have to do my best to help you. Could it be that you want to do something? Just now, when I was chatting with that friend, I thought of a way to find him. However, this method requires me to enter the storm and follow it into an unknown space. Only then can I find him. I've already made my decision. Saving people is my #1 priority. What Prince Shui? What immortal sealing school? What sovereign Tao disciple? They're nothing in my eyes. If I can't even protect the people around me, then what's the point of being an expert? Su Fong stared at the sky. At this moment, he was the only one breathing in the world. I once had a friend who sacrificed himself for me to live. In the end, I survived, but I lost that friend. I don't want to lose another friend this time. Even if it's a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, I still have to go. Everything else isn't important to me. I'm sure that if my family was by my side right now, they would definitely support my decision. If that white crane you're talking about is still alive, then it must have fallen into a certain space outside this realm. That space has already surpassed the detection range of catastrophe realm cultivators. Doing this is no different from courting death. Sometimes, there are things that we're powerless to reverse. In the past, my friends died bit by bit in front of me, but I was still powerless to do anything. Lan Haicheng didn't hesitate to advise. That's why I don't want to have any more regrets in my life. I can't watch my friends and family die like this. Senior sister, if I don't come back, you should go back. Sometimes people have choices. I don't know what Senior sister thinks of me, Su Fong, but I hope that Senior sister can persevere on her own path of cultivation. Don't let other things disturb her Tao heart. Gee, Su Fong blurred into motion, flying out of the forest like a piece of flint. Lan Haicheng watched for a while before following. Half an incense stick later, Su Fong had already arrived at the back of 7-Star Demon Island. He continued to fly toward the central region. He was secretly communicating with Gai Tianguai and the other junior commanders. Gai Tianguai said, Master, the vortex storm really does descend in the central region of the 7-Star Demon Island. It's possible to encounter a storm in the central region. You've been to the central region before. Didn't you say there were several islands there? Passing through the clouds, they arrived at a large region. I've gone there many times, but I was afraid of being swallowed by the storm. I didn't dare stay there for too long. Gai Tianguai seemed to have sensed something from within the profound yellow space. His voice grew less and less confident. Soon, several islands appeared in the depths of the region. It looked like the entire region was rotating in the opposite direction. With those islands as the center, it seemed like they were about to be swallowed whole. Since it was easy for storms to appear in the sky, then he might as well do it. Su Fong directly arrived in the air above those islands. He sat down and released his perfect flesh fetus divine armor. He sensed all the movements around him. Perhaps no one had the same feelings as Su Fong. He was hoping for a storm to descend. The young are bold. Tens of thousands of meters away, two figures appeared in the clouds. They were the Lord of Five Poisons and Li Ziqing. The Five Venoms sect master repeatedly praised. Thinking back to when I first started cultivating at his level, I was also full of guts. However, I lacked his courage, knowing that there was a tiger in the mountain, but still heading towards the tiger's mountain. People often say that there is only a fine line between a genius and a madman. I feel that a genius is a madman, and a madman is a genius. Li Ziqing remained silent on the side. After experiencing life and death with Su Fong in Xinjia Gate, he knew what kind of person Su Fong was. So he already knew that Su Fong wouldn't just sit by and watch. He would definitely do something. But that wasn't the case. Sect Master, you and I have lived for so many years, but we don't have such courage, Li Ziqing replied. This isn't as simple as courage. On the surface, Su Fong seems to be a madman, a rash youth who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. In reality, this person is a meticulous, careful, and shrewd old man. Therefore, this kind of person wouldn't fight a battle he isn't confident in. I can make a bet with you. This brat will definitely come out alive. In fact, there's no need to make this bet. Otherwise, you and he wouldn't have come out alive from the Xinjia Gate. One of the two giants said. The other smiled but didn't say anything. Su Fong, who was sitting cross-legged in the air, was almost weightless under his perfect flesh fetus divine armor. Sister Bai, wait for me. I believe that you and I can survive. Su Fong maintained his sensing state. He could hear all the sounds and movements in the natural space around him clearly. Rustle. Soon, under his perfect flesh fetus divine armor, he heard a strange movement in front of him to the right. Su Fong immediately looked over, but there were only clouds and mist in the sky to the right. There was nothing, but the wind suddenly sped up and became more and more terrifying. Whoosh! In a madness, the space suddenly opened like a big mouth. A black storm vortex appeared, swallowing the space, and rolled directly towards Su Fong. Could it be that the storm is targeted? Su Fong thought for a moment, then took the initiative to fly into the vortex. Be careful. As soon as he entered the vortex, a beautiful figure, who was several times taller than Su Fong, reached out and grabbed Su Fong's shoulder. Su Fong turned around in shock and shouted in disbelief, "Senior sister, leave. This is not a joke." Chapter 394. It was Lan Haicheng. The moment Su Fong was sucked into the whirlpool, he flew over from the clouds. Senior sister asked me to take care of you. Su Fong was unable to react to the catastrophe realm's speed. He felt Lan Haicheng's slightly cold hands grabbing his shoulder, emitting boundless strength and divine might, trying to pull him out of the whirlpool. Su Fong struggled with all his might, but he was unable to shake Lan Haicheng off. He only felt sparks in front of his eyes as his body fell into an abyss. After the sparks, he could not see or hear anything. Lan Haicheng was gone. He was also gone. Boom! It was as if he had entered another world. Su Fong had experienced this feeling countless times, such as at Xinjia Gate. In an instant, he was greeted by a deathly silence, especially when his body was weightless and smashed into something hard. It was as if his body was broken, and he was unable to focus. Bang! Just as he felt his body land on something, something came down from above and smashed into his body. It was soft and had a body temperature. Su Fong did not know what it was, but because he was dizzy and wanted to sleep, he subconsciously placed his hands on something warm. As a result, he heard Lan Haicheng's shock cry. Although his consciousness was weak, he could still tell who it was. Furthermore, his hands seemed to have been placed where they should not have been. He hoped that he was wrong. Senior sister, don't leave. I feel like my bones have been smashed. I still need some time to recover. He knew that it was Lan Haicheng. It seemed that both of them had been sucked in by the whirlpool. Su Fong said softly and immediately activated the 9 Yang, 9 transformations, and the dragon-taming wood's left arm. At this moment, blood was constantly spurting from the corner of his mouth. When he landed on something, it was as if he had been struck by a giant's divine power, causing Su Fong to be seriously injured. In the dark space, Lan Haicheng was still in a state of shock. I'm fine. It's all thanks to your body that blocked me from below. In less than half an incense stick's time, Pure yang energy and the dragon-taming wood's power allowed Su Fong to recover a portion of his body. He immediately got up and swallowed a large amount of pure essence pills and yang-strengthening pills. He also took out some immortal fruit slices. Taking advantage of the darkness, he cut open many wounds on his body and put the immortal fruit slices into the wounds, causing his body to recover. Sorry, who would have thought that Lan Haicheng would accidentally touch Su Fong in the dark? He hurriedly explained, I just wanted to see where this place is. Su Fong said, Senior Marshal's sister, you can use your fire divine ability to light up this place. This won't do. When I used my divine ability just now, I felt an invisible pressure suppressing my divine ability. My true chi and magic power can't explode out. This space seems to have some kind of suction force that can cause my true chi to dissipate. Really? It's really weird. One had to know that Lan Haicheng was in the catastrophe realm. Although he couldn't reach Li Ziqing's level, he was still 100 times stronger than a Yang Soul Realm cultivator. Buzz! The luster of a spirit stone suddenly flashed in front of Su Fong. It was so bright that he was not used to it. It turned out that Lan Haicheng had taken out a few spirit stones. At first, the glow of the spirit stones was dazzling, but he soon got used to it. In fact, it was not dazzling at all. Instead, it was very soft. Lan Haicheng was 1 meter to the left of Su Fong. He held the spirit stones in his hand. When he saw Su Fong covered in blood, he was so frightened that his face turned pale. Su Fong said, I'm fine. I'm in the middle of recovering. I'll be more or less recovered in a while. Senior Marshal's sister, take out a few more spirit stones. Let's see where this place is. Lan Haicheng took out a few more spirit stones. He simply scattered them around. The two of them almost simultaneously saw that they were sitting on a large net made of rocks that looked like tree roots. There were also some rocks around them. Su Fong had fallen and smashed into a rock, resulting in her being heavily injured. If it was Lan Haicheng, even a catastrophe realm cultivator would be injured. It was a shocking sight. It seemed that none of this was naturally formed. Furthermore, the tree roots had turned into rocks that were incomparably sturdy. Lan Haicheng's true chi was also being absorbed by the tree roots. Looking at himself, it turned out that his true chi was also being absorbed by the tree roots. Furthermore, it was being absorbed silently. He was unable to sense it. Only by using a divine ability would he be able to sense it. Something's wrong, too wrong. Why is it that I can't sense my true chi being absorbed by this substance? It doesn't make sense. Su Fong sucked in a cold breath. Lan Haicheng calmly said, It's probably because you and I are in this space. We are shackled by the space's divine power. Everything we do revolves with the space, so we can no longer control our own energy. It really is as those seniors said. Everything on 7-Star Demon Island is man-made. There must be a big shot secretly controlling everything. The two of them fell into silence once more. They were no longer as frightened as before. Since they were already here, they might as well take things as they came. Su Fong looked at Lan Haicheng with a bit of anger. Senior Marshal's sister, why did you chase after us? Can't you see that I deliberately entered the whirlpool? Isn't that the same as putting you in danger? Lan Haicheng gently snorted. My responsibility is to assist you in your cultivation. Do you think I'll just ignore you when you're in danger? Please forgive me for my previous rudeness. I just don't want Senior Marshal's sister to suffer any mishaps because of me. How can I, Su Fong, repay Senior Marshal's sister's kindness? There's no need to repay me. Just treat it as Senior Marshal's sister Huang's decree. Lan Haicheng once more returned to her cold and unfeeling appearance. Unknowingly, the two of them once more revealed an uneasy expression. That was because the spirit stones they had just taken out were growing dimmer and dimmer. When they looked carefully, the majority of the spirit stones' spiritual energy had been invisibly absorbed. I can't use a divine ability, or the loss of my true chi will double. What about you? Lan Haicheng's gaze trembled. I'm fine. Spirit stones and true chi were both being absorbed. It was too strange. Fortunately, his physical body had mostly recovered. He quickly used his pure yang energy to replace his ordinary true qi and let it seep out of his body. The tree roots and the net-like substance were actually trying to absorb his pure yang energy. But this time, they had run into something hard and were unable to absorb it. They were constantly rubbing against it. This made Su Fong extremely happy. Pure yang energy really was the most exquisite energy in the world. He also tried to condense the stone essence qi in his body. The majority of it was the black immortal stone's energy he had absorbed in the Xinjia Gate. Since they were all rocks, Su Fong felt that he could use the stone essence qi to see just what was so strange about the net-like tree roots. The stone essence qi really was able to seep into the tree roots. It was just that it was difficult to absorb its energy, while the tree roots were also unable to absorb the stone essence qi. The two sides were in a stalemate. Great! Even a Calamity Realm powerhouse's energy would be absorbed here, but I can protect my true qi. He was certain. Pure yang energy combined with a perfect physical body would bring about such a miraculous advantage. Thinking back to the Xinjia Gate, if it wasn't for pure yang energy, would they have been able to leave? But now that they were in this space, they didn't expect there to be such a miraculous ability. Everyone, think of a way to leave this place. If this continues, we'll probably die here. Lan Haiqing stared at the dark space, looking for a way out. Su Fong took out quite a few spirit stones and used his illusory fire cloud. Qi, a burning spiritual fire emerged from Su Fong's palm, instantly illuminating the surroundings with a red hue. You, Lan Haiqing almost blurted out this question, but his eyes trembled as he stared ahead. He couldn't help taking a step back. Su Fong was also shocked. That was because when the flames scattered, he saw the same terrifying scene that Lan Haiqing had seen. Just a few dozen meters away, there was a strange, silkworm-like object floating in the air. It looked strange, but in reality, it was a dried corpse that was fixed there. He couldn't help but look around and see more dried corpses on the ground. More and more bones appeared, and there was even a terrifying monster corpse that was like a small mountain in front of him. The monster corpse's flesh was constantly being devoured by the tree roots below, bit by bit. This place was a graveyard. Some corpses had practically turned into black rocks, and the same was true for the skeletons. Sister Bai, his heart was burning with anxiety. He ignored the corpses and signaled to Lan Haiqing to release more flames. When the flames scattered, he saw that there were bones and dried corpses all around. It was as if he had returned to Xinjia's Gate. Bones covered the ground, and he didn't know how big this space was. It was still dark 100 meters away. The two walked side by side, walking over the corpses step by step, looking for Bai Ling. They also released their sensing power. Su Fong appeared in this space again. There was indeed a terrifying, imprisoning power that prevented any form of divine ability from being used. But his sensing power came from his perfect physical body. It was a natural ability of the physical body, not a divine ability. Soon, he heard weak breathing coming from the front. Ignoring Lan Haiqing, he used his flaming cloud wings and flew forward. Lan Haiqing tried his best to keep up. His speed was still very fast, but because of the dense white bones, his speed was somewhat affected, and he was shackled by his ability to control. The flames moved quickly with Su Fong, and a white figure suddenly appeared, lying on the ground with her wings curled up. It was Bai Ling. She didn't have any strength, and she breathed in a daze. Sister Bai, it's me." Su Fong rushed forward. Brother. Bai Ling's watery eyes showed a trembling smile, but she couldn't sit up. She helped Bai Ling up and found that Bai Ling had lost more than half of the energy in her body. Coupled with the severe injuries caused by the storm, she was on the verge of death. "Sister Bai, you don't have to worry about anything. Return to the mysterious yellow space." She clapped her left hand and transferred life force into Bai Ling's body. Lan Haiqing also caught up at this time. Seeing Su Fong transferring life force to Bai Ling, she was relieved and looked around cautiously. It was as if this was a prison, and there was a faint light flickering in the depths. There should be something unusual there. Bai Ling recovered a little. Brother, how did you find this place? Think of a way to leave. This damn place is absorbing life force all the time. I was looking for a whirlwind storm, and then I let the storm sweep here. You know, I can hear things that outsiders can't. I knew you were calling here, so I came. After that, when Bai Ling was about to cry, a shadow of a pagoda sucked her in. Su Fong stood up and turned around. She found that Lan Haicheng was taking out empty bags and magic weapons from the bones. Not to mention how many cultivators died here. The empty bags and magic weapons could almost be seen with the naked eye. She forgot to collect the treasures. The aura consumed by Bai Ling and Lan Haicheng is rushing to the depths of the faint light ahead. There must be a mystery there. This is the space in the depths of the storm. Is the powerhouse who controls the 7 Stars Demon Island in front? Collecting treasures at this time, Su Fong didn't have any thoughts. While waiting for Lan Haicheng, he released his senses, especially his great perfection ability. He quickly sensed that Lan Haicheng and Bai Ling's aura was slowly surging to the depths of the tree roots and rocks under his feet, transferring power to the end. What would happen next? Life or death was unpredictable. He was not in the mood to collect treasures. Besides, this was not the Xinjia Gate. Even if there were treasures, there would be empty bags and magic weapons left behind by cultivators. There is something strange in front. You also noticed it. After a while, Lan Haicheng came over and looked at the faint light at the end. The author's words, at the end of the month, a total of 7 chapters were updated. Everyone, vote for Jiuzhan. While waiting, Lan Haicheng couldn't help but say, "My sensing ability can't penetrate too far. It's built on magic power and young nascent soul. Unfortunately, my young nascent soul and magic power can't penetrate this space." What did you discover? Su Fong came back to his senses. His perfect circle abilities allowed him to sense Lan Haicheng's breathing, the flow of her true qi, and her heartbeat at such a close distance. This was the first time Su Fong was so close to a woman. Except for Xiao Mei-er, Lan Haicheng was right next to him. Hurriedly diverting his attention, Su Fong said, "This underground palace is very strange. I reckon the source of all this is that spell altar. As long as we leave this space and go to the spell altar, we'll be able to understand it. But this space is so hard that we'll need a royal grade enchanted item to open it. I only have 1 royal grade enchanted item, and its quality is extremely ordinary." Lan Haicheng wanted to take out her magic treasure to try again, but Su Fong stopped her. "Senior apprentice sister, don't try again. Let's look around a bit more. Perhaps we'll find something." Whoosh! Just as he finished speaking, a flame suddenly ignited not too far away from them. Su Fong and Lan Haicheng trembled and immediately turned to look. Through the black material, they saw that the tree roots and rocks were burning with a spirit flame that was as tall as a person. The black rock below them suddenly began to separate. This scene caused Su Fong and Lan Haicheng to reveal shocked expressions. They also felt the entire space tremble. Crack! A tree root that was as tall as 3 people separated from the rock and stood up. It was a human-shaped black stone man. The stone man began to wriggle. The spirit flame continued to burn, causing many fragments to fall from its body, revealing a black stone man that looked just like a human. The only difference was that the stone man had a black lotus on its chest. The black lotus emitted a blood-black luster. It wrapped around the stone man's body, giving it strength. Its eyes gradually began to emit a bloody light. The stone man opened its mouth and said, "You 2 human cultivators, I didn't expect you to be able to shackle the energy and prevent it from being absorbed by me." Su Fong protected Lan Haicheng. An imperishable cultivator was actually standing in front of a Calamity Realm powerhouse. She resolutely said, "We didn't mean to fall into this place. Senior, please be magnanimous and let us off." "Let you off? What a joke. My master's second Black Lotus avatar requires the nourishment of flesh and blood at all times. You actually possess life energy that isn't inferior to the Black Lotus. You're perfect for my master's second physical body. How can I let you off? The stone man retorted. Moreover, this is my master's domain. My master has the authority to destroy you and everything else here. He has the authority to create a new life. Chapter 396. Brats, catch them. I want to use these two bodies as a sacrifice to Master and help Master cultivate a second clone. The Black Lotus on the stone man's chest constantly released a strange luster. 5 black stone men split out from the root like rocks below. They had many black lotus totems on their bodies. When the stone men grabbed them, a black lotus was left between their eyebrows. The 5 stone men that looked similar to ordinary people instantly flew over. Strangely, they weren't blocked by the space prison and easily flew into the space, arriving above the pile of bones. Lan Haicheng and Su Fong retreated to an empty area and threw out many spirit stones, illuminating the surroundings. She frowned. Because we can't use divine abilities, we can only use our bodies to resist the stone men. The only thing left is to use magic treasures. Su Fong took out an empty bag. Senior sister, be careful. Let's see how strong these stone men are. Their bodies are made of stone and are incomparably hard. High-grade magic treasures might not be able to do anything to them. Senior sister, you don't need to worry about losing your life force. This is a pure Yang rune talisman and a pill containing Yang energy. Whoosh whoosh. The 5 stone men were like ghosts, their movements nimble as they pounced over. Chi. Su Fongda spread out her arms. She didn't use any divine abilities, but her body had reached perfection. Shocking vibrations came from her body, and she felt endless power. Pa pa pa. She jumped up first and waved her fists, hitting the 3 stone men's abdomens. Thus, the 3 stone men suddenly stopped and stared at Su Fong. She seemed lifeless, but her gaze was similar to the stone men outside. One of the stone men was pleasantly surprised. You're just an undying first-layer ant, but you actually have such an extraordinary body. Your life force is even more peculiar than the Holy Lotus. Master has been gone for so many years, but I've finally found a cultivator to help Master cultivate a second body. Is that so? You're using me as a sacrifice to your master? I'm afraid a lackey like you doesn't have the ability. She caught the attention of the 3 stone men. At this time, she glanced out of the corner of her eyes and saw the other 2 stone men fighting with Lan Haicheng 3 meters away. Lan Haicheng's palm technique and foot technique was the heaven-conquering divine steps. Although she couldn't use any divine abilities, her speed and agility were on par with the stone golem. You ignorant brat. After so many years, I've killed at least thousands of humans and thousands of demons. Do you think I still can't kill you? These are my 3 blackstone puppets. Even an ordinary Calamity Realm cultivator wouldn't be able to harm them. Let me remind you, my body is made of blackstone, refined stone. Its hardness is about the same as a king-grade magic treasure. Hee hee, let me see how long you can last. Senior apprentice sister, you don't need to use your energy. With my speed, I can maintain a stalemate with the stone giant. Now I want to see what secrets it has. Su Fong nodded to Lan Haicheng beside him. Chi. Suddenly the stone golem that had been shackled by the myriad gods shattered the seal on its right arm. Then it swung its fist toward Su Fong. It was too sudden, outside of Su Fong and Lan Haicheng's expectations. Fortunately, Su Fong was constantly using his perfect physical body. When he sensed movement, he subconsciously tried to dodge the stone golem's fist. Boom! but his right shoulder was still half a beat too slow. Most of his shoulder had been cut off by the stone golem's fist, and his flesh scattered. Pressing his left hand against the wound, Su Fong fiercely glared at the stone golem. You want to kill me just like that? You want to shackle me with your seal? You're too naive. You're the only indestructible cultivator. Most of the stone golem's seal had yet to break free, but it seemed to have regained its freedom. It mocked Su Fong. Lan Haiqing approached and asked worriedly, "How are you?" "It's just a flesh wound. I'm not someone who can be killed just because they want to." These words made Lan Haiqing feel relieved. But seeing Su Fong covered in blood, he still felt uneasy. Ordinary power can't shackle you, but other powers might. Stone Golem, I think you'll regret it sooner or later. Su Fong suddenly released a sealing chain from his hands. It was also the myriad god seal, but the sealing power was filled with stone essence. Crack, crack, crack. The seal easily bound the stone golem. The stone golem didn't seem to care at first, but in the next second, it found that this seal was actually able to suppress its aura. You control stone essence energy. How else would I be able to shackle you? Su Fong controlled the stone golem while also using his flame cloud wings to dodge the 9 stone golems. During this chase, Su Fong began to release a large amount of stone essence energy from his body. You little brat, you really are scheming. You want to use the stone essence chi to shackle me? Well, you're wrong. This is my space, and I can absorb anything in this space. People, spirit stones, magical treasures, anything that comes here will turn to decay. The stone golem immediately released the energy within its body. A black light of stone essence energy appeared, and then after it exploded, it absorbed the stone essence energy wrapped around its body. The sealing chain was actually trembling. Do you want me to help you? Lan Haiqing hastily asked. Ordinary power is unable to suppress the stone golem. Senior apprentice sister, you should maintain your state for now. Perhaps I'll need your help in the future. Right now, I can still handle it. The flame cloud wings flashed through the dark space, keeping the same speed as the 9 stone golems. They were unable to catch up. Suddenly, he raised his left arm and slowly spread out his 5 fingers, revealing a smile. The stone golem laughed. This is a peerless energy my master created. It's not something you can refine or control unless you're a cultivator close to an immortal. Su Fong directly grabbed the black lotus with his left hand and then activated the dragon-subduing wood's energy. At first, the black lotus was still resisting, but after a while, its black life energy was easily absorbed into his left hand. The black lotus also began to release a dazzling black gold light. No, how can you absorb the sacred lotus energy? The stone golem's jaw almost split open. On the side, Lan Haiqing also found this inconceivable. This strange space could absorb anyone's energy. The big goblin, spirit stones, and even magic treasures. But why was Su Fong able to absorb the black lotus energy? You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.